There is a deep darkness in front of you. What is that? That is the color of the sky. And just under the deep color of the starry sky, a small holy light figure, in the blink of an eye, from far to near, the light it emits is comparable to a star, and the light it emits is extremely warm. This small form of holy light came before Mu Bai, but his knowledge had expanded countless times, standing behind Mu Bai. Wow! A pair of pure white holy wings suddenly unfolded, and the huge body stretched out two incomparably pure white ones, slowly catching the small ice white woolen cloth. The feeling of this moment is indescribable, endless but comfortable. Mu Bai could not suppress this feeling. And then there is the union of spirit and flesh, complete reunification. Mu Bai is that huge and incomparably holy shadow, and that holy shadow is the incarnation of Mu Bai. Invisibly, the Vientiane Ji Shingo has been running on its own, and countless jumping thunder and lightning are also leaning against Mu Bai's body at this moment. Clap clap, countless thunder and lightning jumping terrifying power, the moment they approached, turned into countless pure energy and slowly merged with Bai. It fused into Mu Bai's flesh and blood, fused into Mu Bai's bone marrow, fused into Mu Bai's body, opened countless cell walls, drilled into the nucleus and deeply imprinted DNA. Mu Bai was hard to suppress again. This kind of refreshing, numb and crisp feeling on the whole body, simply sublimates the soul. An incomparably thick, hard and heavy feeling appeared on the surface of the body, and an incomparably silver and holy armor had wrapped around Bai's body. Smack this. A little bit of lightning protects the body. But it exudes unparalleled terrifying power. This terrifying power comes entirely from the heart. Outside world. Clap clap, Boros stood high in the sky, clenching his fists and arms close to his body. This moment, he finally made his final preparations. Unleash all the energy. Boros roars in the air. Rumbling. Countless blue and white thunderbolts of the size of the arms appeared all over the body, smashing everything around them frantically, and they were about to tear everything into pieces. The surrounding ground shook unparalleled. All the ecological parks, huge and small high-rise buildings, steel buildings, under this terrifying power, a series of collapses have begun. Oops. Saitama slipped and was on the verge of falling off the top of the mountain. A bunch of cyan light forms a package, and a huge cyan bubble wraps it inside, which prevents it from sliding down the bottom of the mountain. Looking up, Tornado stretched out a hand. The ability comes entirely from the hands of the tornado. Saitama immediately smiled. Tornado no longer responded, but looked worriedly at Mu Bai, who was wrapped in chaotic magic in the distance. No one could probe what was going on inside this magic ball, and even Tornado didn't know why Bai closed himself up. Why is that? Despite the same question, Saitama also had doubts in his heart. However, thinking about it gives me a headache, so I just don't want to. Opposite. Integrating all the energy, Boros' pink body has been emitting golden light continuously. It's reminiscent of breaded cakes that are fried in a frying pan until golden brown on both sides. Almost the same situation. All preparations are completely done. Boros finally couldn't hold back, and let out an inner roar. Destroy you. Blow you up with the surface of the planet. Ha ha. Boom boom boom. In this terrifying situation, more and more earthquake shaking continued to appear. The thickness of the thunder and lightning that was originally the size of an arm has suddenly soared into a sky-shattering formation, which is unimaginable and terrifying, even if it looks dazzling. Wow lala, it is extremely hard and can travel through the universe. The extreme steel building with the temperature on the surface of the star turns into a sea of lava and fire slowly spreads around under this endless energy. This ship is a waste. The countless steel structures on the surface of the spacecraft, including any steel used in the ecological park, and even the air, the earth, and the fish ponds, merged into one in an instant, completely melting into fiery red magma, spreading out like the surrounding area. The momentum of terror could not finally be displayed at this moment. At the moment when Boros stood tall in the air and released all his energy, he felt extremely comfortable in his heart, as if he had once again reached the mighty level of a cosmic overlord. Even showing a little bit of strength is enough to make the living organisms in other universes bow down and bow down. But what is going on with this neurotic planet in front of us? Once the powerful combat power came out, it couldn't be beat at all, and no matter how much energy was released, it couldn't hurt the bald head in the slightest. An angry blow will strike the earth, annihilating it with all the mysterious principles of the universe. FCK. Failed again. And I always thought that the spectator was just one or two little guys, who knew that the one who jumped out of the horse would be another big boss. Boros really doubts life. whether he is attacking the Earth, or the Earth is waiting for him to attack. Which bastard once gave him the prophecy? This is completely to kill his rhythm. He has worked hard in the universe for 20 years, just to fight against a powerful enemy, and finally defeat him to get back the pleasure of fighting. Who told FCK that this is looking for the thrill of fighting? This is completely looking for death. Moreover, these neuropathy in front of me. He couldn't fight, he couldn't run, what should he do? It's not just about unleashing the ultimate energy using the ultimate move. Collapsing star roaring cannon. Destroy it. Poros just wanted to ask, what else could he do? What to do? Moreover, the scarlet-colored light ball in the distance was not the terrifying potential energy emanating from the mortal rank, and even caused the fear of biological instinct between him. Just ask if there is a normal existence. This moment. Boros, who had regained the strength of the earth-shattering earth, really wanted to shout out loud. Lousy, invincible again. He really wants to laugh ha ha ha, blow up your planet, and see what else you can do to fight me. Gaba. Clenching his fist tightly, countless joints in the body collided with one another at this moment, causing a huge explosion. This kind of control over everything, taking the entire universe into the power in his own hands, has regained such a powerful state. Cool. Really FCK cool, J. There was a low-pitched roar between the throats, the final roar that tore the throat. The golden-yellow energy on the surface of Poros has formed a blue energy passport around the blue-white lightning, which is a blow that releases the whole body and concentrates the power of the universe. Countless black protons envelop the blue energy, completely forming a huge black-colored isolation area inside and outside the space, and everything around the black-colored isolation area is completely invisible. Even any microorganism in the air cannot escape this terrifying potential energy, a huge energy comparable to the universe, forming an energy wave at this moment. Yi, One U. The three-layer energy wave radiates out, and everything around it disappears completely, including all the ecological parks on the entire spaceship, and everything. That's right. Fighting everything, Boros risked his life. Crash. Eat. Howl. Cannon. He used all his strength to roar, and the style of painting suddenly collapsed. All the light was completely unattainable at this moment. The black protons burst out of the muzzle, the blue brilliance and the golden energy interacted with each other and slowly emerged. The bisexual energy has combined a lifespan of 2,000 years, and at this moment it is invisible. Finally, boom! The terrifying power was instantly released. To surpass the speed of attack, beyond the time, beyond the space, beyond all power. The power that shakes the sky and the earth is here, and at this moment, it completely explodes. What? Indescribable great power, blast. Poros roared inwardly. Everything is shot from the chest, huge eyes. Right at this moment. As if the ultimate vaccine is in the scarlet ball of light, within the chaos magic, it seems so slow. As fast as a turtle. Hey, Mu Bai opened his eyes. Like the ripples of flowing water, it has an impact on the surrounding space. Within the chaotic magic, all the super burning scenes are all soul-sourced, returning to their origins and completely united. The sublimation of the spiritual flesh, from the level of the inner cells of the body, achieves complete unity. Okay. An indescribable voice of silver. Jumping up in the body, enjoying the energy space in the whole body, forming a deep space like the sea of stars. Completely absorbed the energy of the Lady Ba body. It has come to the peak moment of the second realm. The evolution that took thousands of years to complete, after absorbing the countless free Lady energy, has completely achieved qualitative sublimation, shortening the trajectory of time. Holy body. It has also been upgraded to the peak form of the third generation. This means immortality and immortality. Even if the planet is destroyed and the universe shattered, as long as there is a trace of energy left, Mu Bai can be reborn on the spot. In the anime, Super God, Science and Technology universe, this is already the strongest state under the peak of the strongest combat body. No one can match it, no one can reach it. As far away as the flowers on the other side are in full bloom, and the angels have descended, the endless sea of stars has already reached everything beyond any technology. An existence that even artificial gods cannot match. And this is the state of Mu Bai at the moment. Duh, crap. There is no terrifying scene, only a little bit of unreal lightning, like a thin snake, flowing in the space around Mu Bai. Mu Bai turned his head and looked. This little blue and white thunder, and scarlet magic intertwined, you come and go. There are more than one person, like playing with each other's playmates. However, The terrifying energy of the same nature is not at all inferior to the star-shattering roaring cannons of the outside world. How can the scattered thunder power be compared to the condensed tens of millions, leaving only a trace of the thunder soul? Call, breathing slightly, with countless red flame breaths. Integrating the breath of the sun, it has reached a qualitative sublimation at this moment, including the power of the god of destruction fused in the body. At this moment, it has fully achieved its performance. At this time, the physique that has been lived has already surpassed everything. Chaos magic, dragon and elephant mix. Vientiane swallows the stars, can transform Kunpeng phantom. The Lord of Thunder, who can hold the thunder of the world? Even the source of fire that was born in the technological universe seemed like a happy child at the moment, looking at so many more companions, trying his best to use his waste heat and continuously producing energy. Supplied. At the beginning, the incomparably powerful chaos magic, like a diligent cultivator, kept quietly opening up the master's powerful body domain with the weak. The ancient breath has completely merged with Bai, and Mu Bai is the chaos of this universe. Chaos can also allow Mo Bai to open up in this universe. The origin of magic is that Bai is the first ancestor. Everything has reason and evidence, just like belief, it has been passed down. Finally, integrate all the energies into one, just like the 5 elements and 8 trigrams. They fall into different parts of the body, and they get along with each other softly and harmoniously. Wherever they go, they are all accompanied by strength. This moment, Mu Bai finally looked to the outside world. The eyes that jumped on the paper just now are like falling into an ice cave at this moment. 3 feet of freezing is not a day's cold. This chill is comparable to Mu Bai's heart. Collapsing star roaring cannon, the infinite energy body that destroys everything, immediately called towards chaos magic, but at the end of everything is the tornado and Saitama floating in the air. As the saying goes, brothers should not be bullied, and neither should wives. Well, the Boros in front of him did a really good job. Dragons have inverse scales, and they will be angry if they touch them. Mu Bai moved slightly. Boom. The calm space on the spot suddenly caused an uproar. It was no longer a small space ripple, but a terrifying stormy sea. Within the chaos magic, the entire calm space exploded in an instant. At the end of a glance, shrink to an inch. Boros, who was still in joy just now, had once again reached the transcendent realm of sanctification. Next moment, woolen cloth, a big white hand. It was already pinched in his throat, and it was difficult to make a sound. The collapsing star roaring cannon was interrupted as if it was stuck. Incomparably holy, thick and hard armor. Poppy. Pop one by one, countless free electrons flowing in the air condense into tricky little snakes, floating by constantly, and everywhere they pass, they are all scorching black. The huge light and shadow behind him, as high as countless mountains, gathered behind Mu Bai. The light and shadow are incomparably holy, even if one glance has transcended the soul. Boros only felt that his soul was completely suppressed at this moment, 1,000 years at a glance. And at this moment, his soul, his everything seemed to be completely crushed, and there was hardly the slightest fluctuation. At this moment, the trembling soul in the bottom of my heart was telling the most real fear. Boros, I'm afraid. The creature's instinctive fear made him tremble, unable to speak in anger. And the space in front of you has long been detached from everything, and it is no longer the weak high altitude just now. The terrifying holy shadow blocked the sun, and the sun passed through, as if the phantom behind Mu Bai was a star at this moment, and the sun was emitting all the energy. Turn your hands over to make clouds, and cover your hands to make rain. At this moment, this energy can completely interweave it, and it can destroy him in an instant. It's not over yet. Before the holy light and shadow, countless dark figures formed the dotted star map. Tender. A swimming fish with a special shape incites its kind and huge fins, and its huge body covers the sky and the sun. Even compared to the planets embellished in this star map, it is extremely huge. Between an inch and a breath, countless planets shattered instantly and were sucked into the mouth. The eternal energy of the stars is eaten into the mouth even by chickens eating rice, and it is rare to see the light of the stars. And this is because Kunpeng floats in the entire starry sky, and it is thousands of years away by flapping his wings once, and it only takes the blink of an eye to go from one point to another. And in the blink of an eye, Kunpeng looked over with his triangular giant pupil without any color. Eye to eye. Gaba, Boros clenched his fists instantly, but his entire arm was trembling. Although it has evolved into the ultimate life form, in front of these creatures, it seems to be just a money ant. The one eye was filled with great fear, and the colorless gaze seemed to devour him at any time and completely disappear. What kind of look is that? As if any living body in front of him is just dust, the terrifying creature in front of him feels like the entire galaxy. Even as the overlord of the entire universe, Boros has no idea of fighting against the entire universe. Wherever the mysterious and unpredictable cosmic galaxy goes, it is a piece of nothingness and dark matter, full of energy. The black hole is the connection of the void, and in the black hole, all matter will evolve uniformly. Even the passage of time around the black hole is stretched infinitely, changing the body of matter, the life of time. Compared with such horror, what could he count as the energy of only tens of thousands of years? The real mystery of the universe lies in two words: eternal. In Kunpeng's eyes, this ancient vitality is just food, just wandering the galaxy. No one could know what Boros was going through at this time. Mu Bai stands proudly in the sky, cold eyes. The holy angel phantom behind him illuminated all the light and dispelled all the darkness. But this is Mu Bai incarnation. The Fly Pung, who roams the entire star path, is Mu Bai's energy incarnation. Even an ordinary glance was enough to make Boros shocked, surrendered, and terrified. Wearing the Thunder Emperor armor, countless thunder wraps around his body. At this moment Mu Bai incarnates as Thunder Emperor. Without a trace of expression, he slowly lowered his head to look at Boros. Compared to Boros' figure like a tall building, Mu Bai's body seemed so small. But standing high in the sky is his home at this time. Mu Bai incarnates as a true deity. Everything in the sky is calm. The wind is so noisy, and the clouds are everywhere. The calm sky turned into a blue sky, the sun shines on the earth through the clouds, and the Mu Bai at this time completely makes everything in the world ups and downs. Pop, poppy. Countless thunder-jumping chapters were replaced by dots, and thunder and lightning appeared around Mu Bai. It was as if a child was cheering and following Mu Bai's side, and he was no good to Boros, who was so gigantic. When he was eager to try, he slashed all over Boros. Clap clap. Everywhere he passed was a piece of armor, including the space battleship that had been dilapidated just now, which was even more dilapidated at this time, turning into a pile of junk. The space battleship, which had been unable to watch for a long time, kept tilting to the side. Opposite, Tornado and Saitama were already speechless. The two looked shocked and opened their mouths wide. Completely unbelievable look. Even Saitama, who didn't care about anything, was completely stunned at this moment. What happened? How did it get to such an extent? The terrifying coercion was in front of his eyes, as if the entire universe. The incarnation of the star path floated high in the sky, and the Kunpeng who looked at the 1,000-year-old, the incomparably huge angel light and shadow behind him, each of them was aloof. And in the eyes of the tornado, the Mu Bai in front of him was wearing the armor of the Thunder Emperor, transcending everything. That fine armor seemed to contain enough energy to destroy the world, even enough to crush it completely compared to her. But don't know why. Looking at the proud figure in the sky. However, the tornado clearly felt a strong murderous aura, and he could not calm down for a long time. Mu Bai. This person is indeed Mu Bai. But it is completely different from the gentle and kind feeling before. Tornado frowned slightly, and his heart was full of worry. And in the sky, Mu Bai looked down and saw that the big hand holding Boros was a disguise. And this look is so real. Compared with the huge figure of Boros, Mu Bai's figure really seemed like a tangle of ants. However, at this moment, no one can ignore this figure like a god. The source of blue fire in the bottom of his eyes was about to come out, and it turned into a little blue light, appearing all over Mu Bai, as if a god appeared. The deeper scarlet color meets the blue of the fire source. The angel image behind him was covered with a layer of scarlet light, especially on the huge and holy wings. There was no dazzling feeling. On the contrary, it is a little more profound and a little more quaint. Scarlet light is composed of chaos magic, and has been promoted to the chaos lord of this universe. Mu Bai's energy is closer to the universe itself, incarnating the ancestor of chaos. The feeling of being ready to come out seems to be able to destroy everything and let everything dissipate into nothingness. Boros was already trembling. At this moment, there is no thought in my heart. If I can kneel down, I am afraid that he has already kneeled on the ground and buried his head deeply in the ground. He really wanted to know which bastard did it to him. Good guy. Fight, 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 fight for planet, fight for planet. How can I hit a god? Dry hair. He lowered his head deeply, not daring to look at Bai at all. The shivering body awaits the final verdict. and he forgot his neck, and was turned into a white big hand in his hand. Everything came to an abrupt end, and Poros, who had already run out of oil, only had the energy that supported the outer skin. In the midst of the raging thunder, Mu Bai opened his mouth slightly. Destroy. Similar to the mysterious voice of the gods, the voice of the final verdict is issued. As if everything was fate, under this terrifying energy, the sound penetrated the body, pierced the epidermis, penetrated deep into the bone marrow, and deeply rooted into the stream. As if the final verdict, everything is because of these two words. Everything starts to react. As if the vibration of the gears of fate, one ring after another, under the interlocking, finally crushed on Boros. Crushing mercilessly, so let everything be scattered in nothingness. This time when all the super burning weak wins. Woo. Boros was no longer in control, and wept. Doo-doo-sized tears flowed out of the huge eye sockets, and one eye was already extremely scarlet. Thinking back to the cosmic overlord who once controlled everything, crying like a 500-pound child at the moment, this extremely weird style of painting did not surprise Saitama and Tornado on the opposite side. Because, a more brilliant scene appeared. See you. Mu Bai, who was completely transformed into a god, gently stretched out a finger of his right hand and nodded lightly in the air. Everything is so soft, and it seems that there is no trace of force. As if afraid of puncturing this piece of cosmic space. Rumbling. Countless thunders jumped at the fingertips, and countless scarlet lights condensed on the surface of the body. In the incomparably calm sky, it suddenly turned into another color. One thought shakes the sky, eternal thought. I don't know what words to use to describe the tornado. This terrifying scene instantly distorted the space where several people were. Plop plop. Her little heart is beating wildly. All the chaotic magic suddenly bloomed at this moment. The kind of fireworks that were in full bloom, turned into a little scarlet light at this moment, condensed together into an eternal storm. Wherever the storm went from top to bottom, it completely turned into nothingness. Including light and shadow, including the particles in the air, under this storm, there is no shadow. Saitama scratched his head. If he was under this storm, would there be anything left? However, just think about it, he has no habit of dying. Turning his head with a wicked smile, he looked at Boros in the distance. It was this guy who first invaded the earth. He didn't expect it to come out, Mu Bai in such a terrifying form. If it was the former Mu Bai, maybe he would even dare to fight. But now. Good guy, Saitama found out that he has no habit of courting death. And Boros, who was kneeling deeply on the ground, turned into the purest energy body, and had already felt this annihilating storm. However, there was nothing he could do. The big white hand clasped his throat deeply. It's hard to give out a shred of life. Seems like the most important verdict before bad luck. The scenes that once dominated the universe flickered in my mind like a revolving lantern. The countless planets that he had fought for hegemony over, those ordinary lifeforms that knelt down at his feet and roared piercingly. There are also the so-called powerhouses who were smashed into powder by his punch. All kinds of things. It confirms the final sentence, sowing melons reaps melons, and sowing beans reaps beans. If there is a cause, there must be an effect. At this moment, he stopped crying, rumbling. The destructive storm that engulfed everything finally fell on his body. Clap clap. The storm that ripped apart everything was not polite at all, and it continued to explode on the surface of Boros. This terrifying storm, even as the strongest universe, the living body could not compete. First, the surface of the body exploded, and finally the white bones inside were exposed, and the stripes formed by countless blue-white energies wanted to be repaired. But before it was too late, the building-like body exploded, revealing the dark blue round crystal in the end. Caw. Without any pause under this storm, the blue crystals were instantly crushed into slag. Under Mu Bai's calm gaze, Poros turned into nothingness and disappeared forever in this space. This moment. There is a space shrouded in chaos around, approaching balance again. Everything under the scarlet light has been restored. The phantom of the angel behind him stretched out his arms and embraced the entire universe, then turned into a holy light and retracted into Mu Bai's body. The Kunpeng, who was floating in the universe, shouted proudly, and after swallowing several planets, it dissipated into nothingness, turned into energy, and disappeared. Body shape. At last. Dewey join. The Thunder Emperor's armor transformed by the thunderbolt, as well as the innumerable stray thunderbolts all around him. They were all reluctant to bear Mu Bai, like a child acting like a spoiled child, wrapping around Mu Bai's arms, jumping around constantly. The reluctance to part with the master turns into emotion. Main role. Mu Bai, who incarnates the Thunder Emperor and the Lord of Chaos, clearly feels this emotion. Immediately I can't help but cry. Slowly face these thunderbolts and smile. Satisfied and reluctant to part with the Thunder Emperor's armor, it turned into the light of thunder and disappeared completely. Everything returns to Mu Bai's body, and stands proudly in the position of 4 signs and 8 trigrams, gradually improving Mu Bai's physique and enhancing the energy in Mu Bai's body. Chaos magic has returned to the flesh and blood, ready to come out. The scarlet light and the source of fire in the eyes also hide the light. All in all, come to an end. The clouds on the horizon were illuminated by the slowly falling sunset into fiery clouds. The clouds that had been scattered on the horizon slowly condensed again, including the whole body of the earth. The dazzling sunset light fell on his face now. Bring a little warmth. Spread a little energy. White. The sound of tornado joy came from behind. Mu Bai looked back, and his wife's eyes were shy, a little shy. The little hands are wiggling. This hug is not hug is not. Aside. Saitama scratched his head in embarrassment. He giggled. You. Strong. You're not weak either. Mu Bai smiled back. It can be said that Saitama is one of his few friends in this world. Now that he has become the Thunder Emperor and the Lord of Chaos, he is completely detached from the mortal level. If he fights with Saitama, I really don't know what special effects will happen with this physical plugin. Look back. Mu Bai immediately stopped the tornado in his arms with lightning speed. The tornado didn't struggle. Gently leaned against Mu Bai's heart and listened to the heartbeat close at hand. The sunset on the horizon is reflected in the eyes, and this strange beauty brings a moment of tranquility. It's as if the two people have stabilized their relationship and don't need to sublimate it, don't need to stress it out. Everything is slowly becoming the best in obscurity. Saitama on the side was a little embarrassed. But looking at the sunset, I immediately forgot the embarrassment in front of me, and the bald head of the braised egg showed a simple painted smile again. It's all over. The sun goes down. The beautiful woman is in her arms, accompanied by friends, sharing a quiet time. The afterglow after the battle begins here. The battle came to an end, before the afterglow viewing was over. Mu Bai flew and landed on the devastated battleship. Tornado has some doubts. As for Saitama, I went to find Jakes first. Gently place your hands on the wall of the dilapidated spaceship to activate the strongest perception of the source of fire. Damage, degree. 70%. The source of fire appeared in the fundus, and the specific data showed. Good man. This battle has wiped out the property. Mu Bai clicked his tongue secretly. However, looking at the remaining properties in front of him, Mu Bai did not hesitate, waved his hand, a bunch of blue sparks jumped from his fingertips, and then landed on the battleship. Name. Tinder source. Type. Autobot. Fusion complete. A new panel appeared in the blue brilliance in the eyes, and a quarter of the spaceship has been lit by a blue fire source. Including the battleship walls, the internal controls of the surrounding battleships are the energy cables in the center of the walls. The cold mechanical metal creation has a certain life response at this time. Control. 25%. The range that can be manipulated has completely come to a quarter. It seems that this is already the limit of a Tinder source. It seems that one fire source is really not enough. Mu Bai sighed inwardly. A source of fire can easily transform a supercar into a transformer. Autobot transformers and Decepticon transformers, the two models are formed due to the different origins of the fire source, and the carrying capacity has 100% metal deformation capacity. And Bai's control over it is also 100%. However, the source of fire with the same content is in front of you, and the battleship looks a little young. Part of the battleship also has the ability to transform, and this part is completely under the control of Mu Bai, but it is not enough. With a flick of a finger, another 3 beams of fire were fused into the steel deck beneath your feet. Name. Tinder source. Type. Autobot. Decepticon. Fusion complete. In Mu Bai's eyes, the blue flame representing the source of fire was in full bloom. Within the visible range, the 4 sources of fire have been fused, and the deformability has greatly improved the energy content of the entire battleship. The inner core, the antimatter suspension center that has been completely broken, is repaired under the energy. The transformation ability of the entire spaceship is also completely greater than that of all former Transformers creations. The stored steel content, both in terms of hardness and strength, is completely greater than Earth's steel. Moreover, this shuttle ship, as the vehicle of the former cosmic overlord level Poros, is naturally expensive, and all aspects are still not fully developed. At this moment, under the 4 sources of fire, he completely obeys the target. The deformation ability possessed by the 2 Autobot fire sources has complete control over the engineering of all parts of the spacecraft, and there are many modules to choose from, including living and living areas, the former steel ecological park and all the steel buildings everywhere. In the hands of this fusion scientist, the source of fire, it is almost within his grasp. After the fusion, the Decepticon fire source has a more powerful energy weapon form, which greatly enhances the external mechanism capability of the entire spaceship. Just like the former dark matter destruction cannon, it can be easily manufactured under the condition of absolute steel storage. After the fusion of the source of fire, the whole Hulk has the ability to deform. Under the authorization of Mu-Bai, special places also have special deformation functions, and the fusion of 4 fire sources greatly enhances the energy aspect. Similar to the collapsing star roaring cannon once controlled by Boros, at this moment the spaceship bursts out with all its strength, and it can also hit a shot. This kind of terrifying energy at the annihilation level is almost equivalent to the entire storage of the fire source after fusion. In the future, if you want to separate the sources of fire for combat fusion, you can also disperse them and transform into 4 small shuttles. More functions. Name, Cosmic Dark Matter Shuttle. Control. 100%. Damage degree, 70%. A new name appeared before us. Regarding the degree of damage, Mu-Bai really can't do anything about it. However, a huge figure painting of the entire ship, as a small figure, completely appeared in Mu-Bai's field of vision. This magnificent and domineering feeling, as well as the complete control of the heart. Bai can't help but nod slightly. At this moment, the entire spaceship was completely under Mu-Bai's control. Wave to the tornado behind you. Tornado understood, and also pulled it in Mu-Bai's hands. Chaos magic envelops the 2 of them. It turned into a little light and disappeared in place. Knowledge's vision changed again, and it became the once broken central control room. It's just that the circuit was broken, the room was blown up, everything has completely destroyed the control room, and it has completely changed its appearance. I saw the black painted steel wall in front of me, the reflection console formed. A little blue brilliance forms a circular console, including all graphics within a radius of 5 kilometers, and Huawei thumbnails are fully displayed. 3D projection, everything in the war room, this. Tornado was stunned for a moment. Didn't you just kill it, or is it an identical room? I quickly looked around, except for the new room, which was almost the same as before. Although I don't understand what the blue sparks that Mu-Bai threw away just now merged into the spaceship, the tornado was looking forward to it. Mu-Bai did it. Owner. Suddenly, mild mechanical synth sounds pop up. Tornado looked up quickly, showing a vigilant look. Who? Mu-Bai on the side gently stretched out his hand and patted Tornado's shoulder. Do not worry. Afterwards, he coughed lightly and said with a straight face. Identity. Identify the tornado and give secondary authority. Identity hostess. Yes. The mechanical synthesizer sounded again. Hello, mistress. The knowledge base of transformers has already been updated. What is the meaning of the hostess? At the moment of docking with the Earth, including the 3 supercars that have completed the transformation, they have now completely docked with the battleship transformers. Resources are shared, so the tone at this time is much gentler. You. Hello. Tornado smiled awkwardly. This strange feeling, as if everything around him is being monitored. I can't help but look back at Mu-Bai. With Mu-Bai by my side, it's not surprising. Mu-Bai also nodded slightly. Good boy, really good eyesight. Touching his chin and hesitating for a moment, he said. In that case, I'll call you Shinkong number 1. It is temporarily in a hidden state. As for what to do in the future, I will give accurate instructions. Yes. Thank the master for his name, Starry Sky 1 immediately respectfully said. If it weren't for the fact that this thing was too large and deformed at this moment, it would definitely attract the attention of the whole world, and even cause an uproar on the internet and even in the world. Mu-Bai definitely wants to transform Shinkong 1 to see. After all, such a huge behemoth, Mu-Bai is also in full control for the first time. However, looking at the data with a broken degree of 70%, he is also a little distressed. Fortunately, mechanical creations can slowly restore these damages. In that case, recover well. Nodding lightly, Mu-Bai held Tornado Lu tightly in his arms. Chaos magic wraps up. Yes. Out of thin air, the voice of Shinkong #1 sounded. And Mu Bai and the tornado have turned into a little bit of light, dissipating in the control room. When it reappeared, it was already standing at the top of a pitch-black building, and the entire magnanimity was made of hard steel, but it was still much worse than the dark matter shuttle ship. Master. A surprised voice came from beside him. Following the voice, Bai nodded lightly, Tongdi. But compared to Mu Bai's slight nodding, Dongdi's attention was immediately attracted by the tornado in Mu Bai's arms. And, tornado, haha, hello, he hesitated. Especially when I saw Mu Bai, who embraced the tornado in his arms. This has a huge impact on small children. So horrible. And especially when this person is a tornado. You must know that the S-class hero ranks second, the trembling tornado. Although he has the appearance of an angel, he also has a lowly figure, which looks like a child from the outside, but everyone knows that the tornado is really hard to mess with and has a very hot temper. Even if you don't agree with others, you will fight, and the terrifying superpower is simply unmatched. Moreover, as the big killer of the Hero Association, no one dares to provoke it. But such a terrifying existence, it turns out. By his master Mu Bai. Got it, Gudong. Emperor Zhong swallowed his saliva and looked busy. At this time, the person in charge wearing glasses in the distance immediately panicked. Look, that spaceship is disappearing. The panicked voice attracted the crowd. Zhong Di immediately turned his head to look. Next moment. What? His eyes widened. Sure enough, as the person in charge said, the tattered-looking battleship in the distance was slowly disappearing, and it was extremely fast. No. Zhong Di shook his head gently, and he quickly opened the communication. Communication is on. Before he could speak, Emperor Zhong hurriedly shouted. The speed is faster. I don't know what the situation is. The alien spaceship is very disappearing. Capture it immediately. Otherwise, you won't be able to capture it. Good. After a moment of silence, a heavy response came from the opposite side. Even breathing was a little short. Mu Bai frowned slightly. According to the familiar voice, it is not difficult to analyze that this is a Metal Knight. The most mysterious existence in the entire Hero Association has always appeared in the form of metal robots in the form of, and there is no specific information about this person within the association. But Mu Bai knew very well that this was Dr. Beaufoy. Obviously, Dr. Beaufoy is also very interested in the alien spacecraft in front of him. Moreover, all the steel technology on the dark matter shuttle ship completely surpasses the Earth. The technology does not know how many thousands of years old. The hardness of steel and the technology of synthesizing steel in the universe are not on the same level. But the corners of Mu Bai's mouth lifted slightly, revealing a dark smile. Victory in his eyes. He's mine. A little bit of scarlet light flashed in the bottom of my eyes. Poros dark matter shuttle, Mu Bai, has already been booked. Rather than having a fight, it's better to sign in, and if you mean to destroy the power of the gods and fight Boros, you really don't know who is stronger and who is weaker. The strength that Boros really broke out has already surpassed the ordinary god level. The collapsing star roaring cannon that was forcibly interrupted by him can really blow up the surface of the Earth in an instant, and even penetrate the entire planet together. If you think about it, it contains thousands of years of survival energy. And as an existence at the level of cosmic hegemony, there is no rival in the entire universe for hegemony. This is not blown out. It's a pity that I met a child who opened a bug on the Earth, and another who opened a system with even more bugs. It can only be said that Poros has bad luck, but it cannot be said that Boros is not strong. The tornado on the side naturally captured Mu Bai's micro-expressions. However, my husband, just think about it. After all, being a hero is also a fighting force on the human side. If the scream-like terrifying power is entirely on the weird side, let alone himself, including the Hero Association, all heroes have little chance of winning. And blasting. I'm afraid it may not be able to beat Mu Bai. In front of that kind of god-like terrifying force, blasting is just an ordinary person. But, my husband, don't worry. Feeling Tornado's gaze, Mu Bai turned back and gave a positive smile. Looking at each other, everything needs no explanation, everything is silent. On the ground. No solution anymore. A mechanical voice came from the Metal Knight, and he sighed slightly. It's still a step late. Including Bongu, Atomic Samurai, Metal Bat and Sexy Prisoner, and Ei Tetsu with a broken arm standing next to him. All of them looked up eagerly at the spaceship that had completely disappeared in front of them. Everyone was silent, and the battle ended in victory. Although there was no tragic victory, but looking at the ruins everywhere, the original city has become a ruin, and the life has long been lost under the destruction of the cannon. Victory. Humanity finally defeated the monster with a tragic ending, ending the disaster. However, no one present had the slightest joy. The entire city of A has completely disappeared, the original bustling city. Hey, Bang Ji-yu has restored the image of the old man Shang Lu. Shaking his head silently. Countless lives are lost. However, this battle also played the hero's prestige. Equivalent to a god-level disaster, all the S-level heroes did it themselves, and they watched the terrifying battle scene that broke out in the sky just now. Without the ability to fly, no one could know what kind of grand battle was taking place on the spaceship. But since the tornado has already flown away, it means that the battle must be very intense. And it also seems that Saitama's clothes are a bit cruel, and I want to experience a battle. Slightly sideways. Bangu saw at a glance Mu Bai at the top of the Hero Association. He gently hugged the tornado beside him. As an old man, Rao couldn't help but be slightly startled. But after a while, he smiled and shook his head slightly. Young people today. But since he was able to subdue the tornado, it shows that Mu Bai also has such strength. Moreover, among the younger generation, the three most promising are also the strongest. The two troubled teenagers were mixed together, and finally there was a third strongest existence that could suppress these two. And Bai is undoubtedly the strongest candidate. Gently stroked the beard and felt the long beard. Py. Another soft sigh. Silver Fang Bangu is very clear that he is old. The future world must be the world of young people, and who should save Fang Tian? These three are undoubtedly the strongest beings in front of them. It also includes many rising stars, and the metal bat is also not weak, including the devil robot Genos, and the atomic warrior's apprentice Ihetetsu. Late. Speaking of a Waitetsu. The boy who looked at the blade continued to fight without a word even if his left arm was completely broken. Bangu is still a little optimistic about this kind of boy. If you have time to look for it. Ah no, look for the magic knight. I believe his magic will bring you good luck. Pop, patting Juhei Tai on the shoulder, Bang Ji-yu gave a kind smile. After receiving the optimism of S1's third silver tusk Bangu, Ei Tetsu had a positive look and nodded earnestly. Good, good. When the words fell, Bangu turned to Luju's body and left. The atomic warrior beside him was thoughtful. As for the specific repair of Genos, and the ability of magic to restore reality, including the ability to modify reality, Bangu only understands it. This was still heard from Genos. Finally, everything is settled. Go home. Mu Bai sighed slightly. At the top of the Heroes Association building, looking in front of him, there is a vast expanse of broken arms. The energy of the dark matter destruction cannon is really amazing. With the current superficial construction of human beings, it cannot be resisted at all, and only the Hero Association has preserved it completely. The surrounding is weak, and the vital sign response is already extremely weak. It shows that the surviving human beings in a whole city are really bursting with fate. However, I believe that post-war reconstruction will also get a satisfactory answer. Good. Taking a deep breath, Tornado smiled back. This sentence, go home, came from Mu Bai's mouth, and it gave me a more sense of belonging. If you have heard this sentence from Baiko, it may be very unremarkable. But now the relationship between the two has been confirmed. Go home. Go back to your own home. This feeling made her feel extremely at ease and fulfilled. A week passed by in a hurry. After the last big event, the news was flying all over the sky. City A was hit hard, and post-war reconstruction is underway. Make a huge obelisk, and inscribe the existence of those who lost their lives in the war. A moment of silence for this. Heroes Association, you have designated February 8th as the day of silence for all people. Thanks to the heroes for their great sacrifices due to the attack of the cosmic monsters. Just turn on the TV or radio in the news. All kinds of headlines on the streets are all about the events when Cydia was attacked by weirdos. Poros body. The layout of the shooting has been criticized by all walks of life. Mu Bai restores the image of Poros, published in Demon Slayer, Guilty Crown, and Tokyo Ghoul. The three comics that are loved all over the world have received more attention and finalization for a while, and the specific identity of the comic authors has also been suspected from the outside world. This time, this publication completely pushed Mu Bai to the forefront. However, at this time Mu Bai has come to J City. After the attack of the Deep Sea Clan, J City returned to its former calm. Beach, sun, sea. A good sunbathing is simply refreshing. Genos, have you done it yet? Ah duo, I'm so hungry. Saitama patted his stomach and looked anxious. A root toothpick, occasionally looking at the barbecue chopping board in front of me. Oil sizzling. The grilled items gradually turned golden and shiny, with the seasoning prepared by Mu Bai, exuding a refreshing aroma. It is a temple of 5 internal organs that can evoke people at any time. Especially for Saitama, a foodie, it is even more attractive. Alright soon. Hello teacher now, wait a moment. Genos, who was wearing an apron, had a serious face and turned the barbecue in front of him with a shovel in his forehand. The standard action is comparable to that of a chef in a 5-star hotel. And this, after learning a hand with the tornado. The sea in the distance, within the diving area. The tornado waved his little hand, and the surrounding seawater immediately flew up, hitting the blowing snow in the distance. A tornado in a swimsuit, with a small body that has bumps and bumps. Not at all as small as it usually looks lowly. Puff. A large piece of water was sprinkled on the body, and the snow was wet again. Haha, sister. Don't do it. In laughter from the heart, he quickly stretched out his hands to activate his superpower. Using superpowers, the playful battle in the water begins again. Under the built umbrella. Wearing sunshine sunglasses, Mu Bai watched this scene quietly. There was an orange juice drink on the table beside him, and he pumped lightly and moved the straw. It turned out to be soda. He opened his mouth slightly, and let out a mouthful of turbid air. Sunshine Beach, the coast in the distance. This should be the hero's leisure time and the life that should be enjoyed. As for the post-war reconstruction of the past few days, Mu Bai doesn't care about everything and just needs to hand it over to the Hero Association. As for the level issue after the last battle, Mu Bai was promoted again, and this matter has been completely promoted to the 5th place in the S-Class Hero. As for Genos, he was also promoted from the 18th S-Class Hero to the 17th S-Class Hero. The sexy prisoner who successfully surpassed him became the second to last S-Class Hero. As for the sexy prisoners, it should be back to prison at this time. Looking at the scene where the sister-in-law and his wife are fighting, Mu Bai said with emotion, "Life is infinitely beautiful." "Yeah. I feel the same way, old man." A familiar voice came from behind. The muscles of a sturdy body are exposed without clothes. Although there are many scars, one can see a strong physique. Even with silver hair, he looks in good spirits. Also wearing sunglasses, wearing little turtle underwear. Bang Ji-yu also lay down on the reclining chair with a gloomy expression. Mu Bai's face darkened. When you come out to play, go out to play, and with Saitama, this guy likes to join in the fun. Of course, if Saitama came, Genos would definitely come, but for some reason, Bangu came along to join in the fun. "Hey. Old man, it's really fate, do you want to fight?" A swordsman in a shawl in the distance, even if he is shirtless. Atomic Samurai. With a toothpick in his mouth and stepping on the beach under his feet, he came, rustling. With a rude look, he pulled out a small sunny beach stool and sat beside Bang Ji-yu. Juhei Tetsu, who followed closely behind him, looked in good spirits with his short, finely chopped hair. However, because of the lack of a left arm, there is a slight fly in the ointment. Seeing everyone, he quickly smiled and said, "Hello Mr. Bangu, hello Mr. Magic Knight." Then, when he saw Mu Bai, he took a deep breath. For the existence of idol level in this dream, he couldn't help blushing immediately. And Mu Bai sat in front of him so calmly and comfortably. Completely in a state of his own. Wow lala. There was a sudden big movement in the sea in the distance. Follow Mu Bai's eyes tornado, and the girl with the same green hair he didn't know. There are so many S-Class heroes with the highest combat power here. It's delicious. Bangu is coming to eat too. Another happy voice came from behind. Eite turned his head to look. The bald guy was unceremoniously picking up the barbecue from the grill in front of Geno and stuffing it into his mouth. And what shocked Ei Tetsu the most was the S-Class hero Genos, who was wearing an apron and willingly grilled. "Okay. My old man will come too." Bang Ji-yu waved his hand. He smiled unceremoniously, put on his slippers and walked to the barbecue stall. "This dress is completely familiar, and it's in the same state as an old friend. What's going on?" Although I know that the third S-Class hero is the Silver Fang Bangu is very kind, but I have never seen the bald head in front of me. Iatetsu was stupid for a while. Some can't figure out the way. At this time, The atomic warrior on the side was the first to speak, and he looked at Mu Bai. Metal, Lord Knight, allow me to call you that. When Mu Bai's hero level reached the 5th place, the atomic warrior didn't dare to underestimate it, and looking at the attitude of the gang leader, it was not understandable by ordinary people. At this time, asking for help, his attitude was also lowered. In the battle some time ago, my beloved disciple accidentally lost his left arm. Your Excellency Bongu said, you may have a solution, just take this opportunity. The atomic warrior who has always been arrogant and awe-inspiring, this tone made Bai Weiwei startled. However, upon hearing the disciple, Mu Bai immediately understood. The most important thing for a swordsman is the coordination of his body. A strong point can even react in an instant, and the victory or defeat is only a matter of thought. And Atomic Warrior's most powerful move, Atomic Slash, pays great attention to speed. And this time, he lost his left arm. It is impossible to break through to the level of the Atomic Warrior in the future, but this mysterious magical ability has given the Atomic Warrior another hope. As a true lover, Ei Tetsu is awe-inspiring and down-to-earth. It's not impossible to bow your head for your lover. Hear the word. Mu Bai sat up and took off his sunglasses, showing a handsome face. Looking at the empty left arm in front of him and the scabbed place, Mu Bai nodded slightly. It's not a big deal. His eyes were calm, without a trace of turbulence. What? Ei Tetsu was stunned for a moment, then looked at Mu Bai in an instant. It's not a big deal. As he spoke, he couldn't help but breathe a little faster. The atomic warrior on the side glanced slightly. Heart cannot help but moved, because, a week ago. Hero Association, the best hospital. Invite the world's most authoritative experts for consultation. Small conference room and the like. All the world's most authoritative experts, sitting around the round table, are discussing about the treatment plan of Iga Iron. The atomic samurai sitting at the side, he was very concerned about this matter, and although he was wearing a toothpick, he was equally nervous. As the chief disciple Juhei Tetsu, he will inherit his mantle in the future. Moreover, a swordsmanship also got his true inheritance. In such a young state, he has surpassed the former him. Given time, it is only a matter of time before becoming an S-class hero. And today's strength has also been able to cope with many crises. Therefore, the atomic warriors valued Ei Tetsu's broken arm very much, and accumulated a lot of wealth over the years. The name of the S-class hero has also made countless authoritative friends. The attending physician in front of him is the dedicated physician of all S-class heroes, and has the name of authority in the world. Saved the lives of countless people and performed a very authoritative world-class operation. We are also researching the treatment plan of glycine iron. The right amputated limb should be picked first. Do blood analysis and multiply on the arm. But once the rejection occurs like this, a new one will be selected, and even the original arm will be extremely affected. Yeah, once it affects the nerves, it is unlikely to become stronger in the future. Several experts made an academic justification. Sitting on the main seat, the friend of the atomic warrior brought the report from one side. Wow. Sitting on the chair with a tired look, he gently supported the black non-mu glasses. There are currently 2 solutions that can be solved. Implanting the left arm of the robot will only perform mechanical activities in the future, which will greatly affect the coordination of the body and your speed. It is impossible to become stronger. Atomic Samurai groaned. Turning over the report in his hand, even though his face was calm, he had already denied it in his heart. Because the most important thing for a swordsman is his speed, physical coordination and the possibility of becoming stronger in the future, all the comprehensive evaluation is the hero. But once you lose these, Awaitetsu, the future of the future is worrying. This can protect the neural response. The current level of technology has not yet reached the precise neural level response, so it may be weaker than before. Professor Hei Nanmu continued. The second option is to select a suitable amputated limb and make up for tactile nerves, which can be greatly remedied, but it will have a great impact on the coordination of the body, and the possibility of failure is extremely high. Failure, the left arm will be disabled for life. The eyes of the classroom in the talking room also looked at the atomic warrior. Eye to eye. No, the atomic warrior shook his head slightly. Ei became like this for the sake of human beings, and if it fails, it will also lose the basic skills of a swordsman. Look at the plan in front of you, he is very clear. This level of medical skills, including tactile nerve compensation, preoperative preparation and postoperative repair, requires a very long period of time. In a short period of time, no one can be sure whether a disaster will occur. And this kind of operation is not very mature at the event level, and the failure rate is as high as 80%. Once it fails, EIT will be disabled for life. Atomic warriors don't want to see their apprentices like this. As for the experts who can perform surgery all over the world, they all gather here, spending a lot of money every minute. For the sake of his apprentice, the atomic samurai doesn't care. If you want to choose a suitable amputated limb, it is even more impossible in a short period of time. It is best to wait in units of years. The professor said the last words. But obviously, the atomic warrior's expression fluctuated greatly. This also means that Igai will exist in this form for a long time. For a strong swordsman, the basic physical quality is the most important. Even if a severed limb is strong, it will not affect anyone around. But it will also make a swordsman's will be depressed for a long time. Unless you break through yourself and learn a new swordsmanship, otherwise. Igai Railway is a waste. And don't even want to control his strongest move, Atomic Slash. Pop gently patted the atomic samurai on the shoulder. The doctor sighed. Sorry, accept the reality. Looking at the two options in front of him, Atomic Warrior Yao was uncertain, not knowing which option to choose. And all the experts' eyes came at the same moment. At this moment, everyone is waiting for the answer from the Atomic Warrior. Atomic Samurai clenched his toothpick slightly. Even in the face of the existence of thousands of monsters, the faith in his heart has never been shaken. No matter how powerful the enemy is in front of him, the blade in his hand is irresistible. The blade in his heart was sharp-edged. But now facing two reports, his expression is a little shaken. Because no matter which option is chosen at the moment, it is equivalent to completely proclaiming the fate of Tetsu. Hopeless. This life ends here. And no matter how powerful he was, no matter how unmatched he was invincible. This moment is shaken. At this time. Wow. The door of the research room opened. Eit was sweating profusely and said, Master, let's find the magic knight. Eyes firm. He did not want his master to face such a predicament, and could only think of the ethereal words said by the old gentleman. And at that moment, I looked at Tetsu, which was close at hand. The atomic warrior seemed to have seen him, who once practiced the strongest swordsmanship with perseverance and kept practicing. He was sweating profusely. Even if he was physically disabled, he was able to wield the sword technique 1,000 times in a short period of time. Practice all moves 1,000 times per day in compulsory courses. The strongest basic skills create the fastest speed, and every time you break through yourself, you can practice the strongest sword. At this moment, the atomic samurai compromised. Okay. He stood up, picked up the toothpick again, and returned to his free and easy state. But who knows, for the sake of this apprentice, he has been running in the words after encountering the magic knight in his heart. Time back to the present, it's not a big deal. An understated look. Eit was shocked. Authoritative experts around the world all gave the worst results. It turned out to be here at Mubai. It's not a big deal. So what exactly is the big deal? Yeah, don't you just break an arm? What's the big deal? Mubai raised his head and immediately asked back. Gudong. Eit swallowed his saliva. Break an arm. What's the big deal? Good guy. Tetsu wants to cry but has no tears. I really want to say that it wasn't your arm that was broken. But suddenly I thought about it. Since it's not a big deal. Then you can solve it. Shudu's brain flashed, and he asked immediately. Of course. Mubai pouted. Good guy, after talking for a long time, I have never seen the world. But this kid is really unlucky. In order to save people, he put his arm in it. At the level of human biology, this person's arm is indeed dead. The definition of disability is not excessive. But looking at the face of the atomic samurai, you can just wave your fingers. Heard. The atomic warrior on the side glanced slightly. The look is also a little restless. Surgery like rebirth from a severed limb will not be possible in the world, including the next 20 to 30 years. Mubai in front of him has a way. Could it be really related to the legendary mysterious magic? Everyone said that the magic knight used one-handed magic ability and could do anything. And so far, the atomic warrior has never heard of any kind of magical ability. He has always attributed Mubai's magical ability to superpowers, and he is more willing to believe in medical skills around the world. If the medical skills won't work this time, I'm afraid I have to go to the ancient East. The mysterious medicine of the East is no less than the authority of the world. But since Mubai said yes, then, I see. Mubai waved at Igate. Come here. Okay. Ei Tetsu was stunned for a moment before he reacted. In 2 or 3 steps, he walked to Bai's eyes. Including the frolic in the distance, the tornado was also attracted by the small piles gathered here. With a wave of his hand, use his superpowers to make her float. Remember what Mu Bai said about keeping a low profile. Only then did she withdraw her hand, and then down to earth pulled Fushui and walked towards Bai. Behind. Zizi, grill some oil, sizzle. Saitama is also not too hot, and shoves a grilled fish into his mouth. He smiled at Bang Jiu. Ah, this tastes great. If Mu Bai opens a restaurant, I will definitely be the first to join. That's right, young people are enlightened. Bang Jiu also nodded slightly. However, Saitama suddenly held him back with his elbows. Bangu's beard blew. Why? Look over there, it looks like some atomic warrior. Saitama's eyes widened. Immediately, a gossip look appeared on the mysterious face. Bang Jiu looked indifferent. If you're interested, just go and have a look. He grabbed a roasted golden fish, the seasoning next to guoshang, and swallowed it in small bites. Here. I just came to the eye gate in front of Mu Pao, and immediately felt the majority of eyes. Turn your head. Tornado. When he saw the idle tornado, he couldn't say anything when he was shocked. Everyone knows the S-class, the second hero's trembling tornado. Hot-tempered, not easy to offend at all. However, I didn't expect that the dragon roll hummed, sat next to Mu Bai, and took a sip of the Mu Bai drink. This. Don't you care at all? Also, the bald head that Bangu had been friends with at the beginning also came over. All eyes are focused on this, he was so excited. At this time, take off your coat and let me see. Mu Bai said flatly. Good. Ei nodded immediately. But he did murmur in his heart. If you do surgery, will it be too exposed here? Is it really called magic? Undressed, revealing the injured area. The broken place reveals the texture of human muscles, and the wound has been scarred, but under the touch, there is still a little scarlet blood. Such an ugly appearance was exposed in front of everyone's eyes. A Waitetsu is a bit embarrassing. See this situation. Mu Bai didn't hesitate either. He waved his right hand as if by magic, and countless free scarlet colors immediately gathered in the calm space, and then clinged to the injured position of Ei Tetsu. Recover. Mu Bai's lips moved. The voice is like a holy voice. Even sitting on the reclining chair, the entire figure seemed to be extremely holy, covered with a faint golden halo. Not a hallucination. Ei rubbed his eyes widened. This layer of golden brilliance does exist. Even the atomic warrior, who once suspected that the so-called magic was a superpower, showed a shocked expression. Back next moment. Ei only feels that the place surrounded by scarlet light is crispy and numb. And he doesn't know. In Mu Bai's eyes, the miniature of a small angel has already started to calculate cloud data frantically. After merging the sacred body, how the unrestricted energy of the source of fire, including the ability of chaos magic to modify reality. Mu Bai could turn itself into a supercomputer at any time. In the world once called Super God, the most powerful beings are the angels who control all races in the universe. Powerful knowledge of all kinds is enough to make all the people submit to the leader, and the angelic civilization pursues a just order. The order of justice that governs all is from Queen of Angels, in the hands of the Holy Kesha. Possess the most absolute power in the entire universe. The most cutting-edge scientific and technological knowledge, evolve itself into the 5th generation of sacred body. The incarnation of the god of science and technology has also reached the level of immortality. Beyond time, space, distance, speed, immortal. And the pinnacle of the 2nd generation sacred body that Bai now masters is a body that can accommodate various special abilities. Harder than that of all known biological weapons. Including nukes. The 2nd generation of the divine body is enough to survive in a nuclear bomb and is immune to all radiation. And the 3rd generation sacred body can restore the initial setting at the moment of being unfolded, that is, the most powerful and ordinary body of me. Everything is preserved in the form of data. Here is the most powerful data god. And each god, the most important thing is his own computing ability. After fully integrating the divine body, Mu Bai can transform himself into a supercomputer at any time, and this computing speed can no longer be described by megabytes. And in the world of Super God, every technological god who wants to calculate terrifying computing power needs to carry a powerful computing center. Planet-level computer, including instant exposition of every plant, tree, flower and stone on the planet. Even a small molecule in the air can be calculated instantaneously. Such terrifying computing power was designed by Angel Civilization as a cosmic-level battleship, Skyblade. And each operation will inevitably consume countless energy. These energies are usually drawn from nearby stars. So every battle is between universes. On the other hand, Mu-Bai himself, a powerful source of fire, can shoulder the responsibility of energy at any time. The terrifying chaotic magic directly strengthens Mu-Bai's ability, even similar to making changes to reality, turning into a supercomputer with his own thinking. The changes made are also traceable and follow the rules. Everything supports such a huge calculation. At the moment, under the strong support of energy. Comparing Aigite's left arm, including all the data of the body, the previous best plan was checked out, and the best plan was obtained in the blink of an eye. Similar to data recovery, Mu-Bai immediately stretched out his right hand and moved down slowly along the wound of Ei Tetsu. Chaos magic is always at work. Wherever he passed, countless scarlet lights converged. Forcibly modify reality, use data power, and repair Ei Tetsu's left arm. A blue brilliance appeared in Mu-Bai's eyes, sticky symbols of Tinder source looming. Fortunately, Aigite's arm is just an ordinary human arm, and it consumes only a trace of energy. And compare the world of Super God. The body to be repaired is initially a divine body, and the energy required is almost twice as much as the current few planets. The power of the divine body can be imagined. In a blink, an incomparably white and brand new arm was revealed little by little in front of everyone's eyes. And as Mu-Bai's hand slid over, the arm gradually revealed its shape. What? Saitama's mouth twitched. Is this magic? But he had never seen such magic, so horrible. However, Saitama is convinced that this is really the magic of Mu-Bai's hands. I am afraid that the only thing that can be done in the world is Mu-Bai. This. Eite was shocked. He clearly felt the existence of this arm. This is really his own arm. Including the fine muscle structure and every pore, it is so realistic and real, it seems like a feeling of growth. Mrs. Amazing, he stammered, his expression already shocked beyond words. As for the atomic warrior on the side, he was shocked beyond words. Having seen countless anecdotes, this is the first time I have seen such a real arm. And, on the other hand, Mu-Bai. It's like doing a very normal thing again. It's kind of unbelievable. However, Mu-Bai here is finished. Sophisticated data profiling right down to the fingernails. Mu-Bai withdrew his hands and the final restoration work was completed. I see. The arm with the same skin color has been completely attached to Ei Tetsu's left arm. Brush, he moved his fingers slightly. Buddha. Saitama screamed, eating half of the grilled fish in his mouth, which made him a little unclear. However, this does not prevent the activities of Ei Railway. Flicking his arm, he immediately became a gust of wind. Post. With a chopping knife drawn from his waist, he carefully looked at his arm, completely recovered, even the strength and feeling were exactly the same as before. It's incredible. Putting the chopper back into the scabbard, Ei Tetsu's eyes were full of disbelief. But this shock is only a small thing for Mu-Bai. Withdrawing his gaze, Bai gently kissed the dragon roll's cheek. What's the plan for dinner? Listen to you. Tornado grinned and looked up. Four eyes met, the two of them smiled silently, and they were completely tacit. Within a week, the relationship between the two of them quickly warmed up, but there was Fubuki, so. The last step is always missing the point. Of course, except for the last step, including the size and so on, Mu-Bai has already grasped it. Seeing Mu-Bai's gaze, Tornado snorted unceremoniously. It is rumored that the IQs of women in love are negative, and it really is. And this scene, passed into Fushui's eyes. The action is a little startled. But he quickly concealed his embarrassment with a smile. Thank you, Senior Knight. When the dust settled, Juhei Tetsu said happily. Whether it is using medical technology or magic, to restore his broken arm, this is something he can't even think about. However, since it has been realized so far, it is better to put your heart in your stomach with peace of mind. Before he finished speaking, the atomic warrior on the side also stood up and said respectfully. Thank you, sir. It's hard work, what's the point? Mu-Bai shook his head slightly, his eyes were similar, and his face was calm. However, the atomic warrior was suddenly taken aback. How could he see a trace of tenacious warrior aura from Mu-Bai's figure? I don't know if it's an illusion, however, since that is the case. I'm so disturbed today, I'll come to meet you tomorrow. Snapped. With a fist, the atomic samurai left first. Looking at the back of the atomic warrior, Bangu's mouth showed a smile. A master of swordsmanship of a generation, able to bend and stretch, he is also a man of temperament. It's good to have a friend, and for Mubai, one more friend is better than one more enemy. Don't look at the current S-class heroes, but no one knows whose details or whose purpose is. Hey. Shaking his head slightly, Bang Gu sighs. He is old, and the future must be the world of young people. Pick up the wine next to it and pour it into a small wine glass. What? The entrance is extremely spicy, but when the wine enters the throat, it immediately conveys a sense of relief. How can we drink alone? Let's drink together. A quiet voice sounded. With his right hand pulling the tornado, Mubai has come over. Looking at the sizzling oil on the grill in front of him, and Gino's respectful attitude. Tornado slapped Gino's. Well done, apprentice. Cough cough. Miss Tornado taught me well. Gino's immediately turned serious. Saitama also suddenly said, Hey, Gino's, is that squid ready? I want to eat that squid. The tornado doesn't give in. No. Saitama straightened his nose. Humph. The tornado snorted coldly, waved his hand, and the squid on the grill immediately turned into a ball. Showing off, he looked at Saitama. All right, here it is for you. Saitama immediately looked disgusted. Watching the quarrel between the two is really more interesting. Night falls. Everyone left. After Fubuki hurriedly answered a phone call, his complexion changed slightly. Sorry to look at the tornado. I have something to do today, and I really can't go back. What happened? Mubai asked quickly. Several members of the Fubuki team were beaten. 2 of them have been hospitalized. I don't know what's going on, I'll go check it out. Fubuki sighed, and there was a little more worry between his brows. Be careful, Tornado immediately reminded. Then he reached out and tidied up Fubuki's collar. After all, Fubuki is no longer a little girl, so she can't be tied to her side all the time. Good. Nodding lightly, Fubuki turned to leave. Mubai suddenly said, White God. Fubuki and Tornado were slightly taken aback, wondering what Mubai was doing. Next moment. Just listen to Wu, there are countless mechanical closing sounds, and the next lesson is slammed. The steel rectangular object turned in the air and landed with a bang. Mubai waved his right hand, and the invisible chaotic barrier shielded the crowd, covering the raised sand and dust. What? Tornado looked sideways slightly. A steel giant with a height of about 10 meters has appeared in front of him, with a pair of electronic eyes emitting red light, which looks a little dangerous. Fubuki was startled. He hurriedly hid behind Mubai. But I saw Transformers kneeling on one knee, lowering his noble head and saying, Owner. The electronic voice sounded, covering everyone's heart. Mubai nodded lightly. Protect the second lady and give second-level authority. Yes. White God immediately respectfully said. A pair of red electronic eyes emits red light to scan Fushui's body and completely load all the information of Fushui's body into the database. The White God Transformers is a supercar and a warrior. It has a lot of functions. You can ask the White God for details. Mubai explained casually, and then shouted sharply, Transformation. Taste. There were countless mechanical closures, and the 3 of them saw the incomparably tall, mighty and majestic mechanical warriors begin to close, and then turned into a white Bugatti and appeared in front of the 3 of them in the form of a supercar. The left cockpit door has been opened. Only then did Fubuki stand up completely. Go. Mubai smiled slightly. With a nasal sound, Fubuki did not delay any longer, and immediately sat in the driver's seat. The seatbelt behind him was automatically recorded. Yu Shirakami roared with a kick of the accelerator. Disappeared in place. Leaving Shiro and Tornado behind and watching Fubuki leave. However, looking at the direction Fubuki was leaving, Tornado's eyes jumped and he was thoughtful. Mubai didn't notice. Turning around and facing all the tableware and the garbage created by several people, he waved his hand, and countless scarlet-colored packages disappeared. Forcibly modify reality, transforming something into nothing. Save the basic shape data, you can create it again next time you use it. This hand is like the same ability, and it has really been used. Let's go for candlelight dinner, Mubai suddenly thought. Having lived with Tornado for so many years, it seems that the 2 of them have never had such a close relationship, but now that they have the opportunity, they really need to perform well. After all, in that world, the best way to get closer is to have a candlelit dinner. Okay. Tornado nodded lightly, then turned around and put a smile on his face again. Mubai spoke again. Black wind. It was a black Lamborghini who had not driven for a long time, and the doors to the driver's seat and the co-pilot beside him were already open. Get in the car. Mu Bai turned slightly sideways, with his right hand behind his back, making a gentlemanly inviting gesture. Eye to eye. Dragon Roll smiled sweetly, and couldn't help but rolled his eyes. Screw you. However, he still came to the co-pilot, sat down slightly sideways, and the seatbelt was automatically fastened. Mu Bai couldn't help but smile bitterly. No matter when, the wife still keeps Tsunere. However, this is the most real state of the wife, the two are in love, and everything is silent. Coming to the driver's seat, Mu Bai immediately said. Switch to autopilot mode. Okay, master. There is a mechanical sound coming from the supercar's central control. Hey. The closed position in front of the eyes automatically opens the crack, and the seam reveals the dark steering wheel, which is wrapped in a little soft cotton, and all the decorations look brand new. Drop. The vehicle is automatically delivered in the mechanical sound, and the black dark light ball is synthesized mechanically. Wow lala, countless colors bloom slowly, forming a little atmosphere in the supercar. Colored balls surround. Love, is love, it's been so long. And you, with me. A pleasant but unknown English song that blends with the atmosphere. Mu Bai was slightly startled. Good guy, this supercar is really a bit rude, but seeing Tornado's cheeks turning red, Bai shook his head slightly, showing a wry smile. Next moment. In the darkness in front of you, the supercar headlights turned on. Instantly illuminate all the darkness in front of you. White wave. Wow lala, without the scarlet light slowly gathering in front of you, a super runway appeared out of thin air. With a kick of the accelerator, the supercar slammed out, and the speed soared to the extreme in the blink of an eye. Wow. The Tornado was startled. This terrifying speed brought inertia, making her stick to the ultra-thin co-pilot position. Turning his head to look, there was a faint smile on the corner of Mu Bai's mouth. The Dragon Roll's face sank. This guy, the feelings are intentional. However, the next moment, discrimination. The windows lowered automatically, and the wind whistled beside my ears. I see. With the scarlet runway in front of them, the terrifying speed of the vehicle was instantly pulled to the extreme. The clouds in front of the two were infinitely drawn, and they jumped into the air with the speed of amputation. The extreme speed, almost breaking 100 meters in the blink of an eye, galloped towards the sky, forming a sloping runway. After a few seconds, all the empty cities have become now tiny ants. Light up the lights to illuminate the mountain city in the distance. The city that never sleeps, this is the beginning of the night carnival. It seemed that there was a wild laughter in the ear, including the crowded city during the day, which now became empty, and the darkness enveloped everything and brought a little bit of mystery. The corner of Tornado's mouth twitched into a smile. It turns out, the city can be so prosperous. A little shockwave came. Tornado's superpowers sense the charm of the city under the night. Carnival in the bar. Darkness and danger are infinitely approaching. However, there are also heroes sitting, ordering a cappuccino in front of the bar, blending into the slightly drunken night. Look back. In front of you have entered the clouds. The countless white clouds in the daytime looked a little gloomy from this moment. Extending his hand out of the window, the cyan energy wraps his arm to protect his arm, and feels the whistling on top of the clouds. Gay. In the blink of an eye, the vehicle has driven infinity. The light clouds were instantly dispersed, and in front of a huge bright moon hangs high in the air. The moonlight looks refreshing, and it descends a little quiet. Hum 1. The roar of the super run resounded through the sky, and the scarlet super run stretched endlessly. Slope up from time to time, gallop forward from time to time. Sudden. Mercedes bends down. This sudden sense of perk made Tornado's face turn pale with fright. However, when he turned his head to look, Mu Bai was holding back a smile. Sudden. Another gallop. The tunnel in front of him suddenly soared upwards, the vehicle was invisible, and suddenly vacated, and it was about to enter the endless sky and fall into the open space in front of him. Wow. A scarlet-colored runway suddenly touched the car steadily. No kidding. The Tornado immediately turned black. Alright. Mu Bai just gave up. Scarlet color blooms in the bottom of his eyes. The Mercedes-Benz track, which was galloping down, immediately became flat. All the super runway terrain changed suddenly. Now that chaos magic has been mastered to the level of perfection, it has been created and modified out of thin air, and reality has changed. However, the immediate romance has been reached. Then the warm scene. Stop here. Beneath the huge shining moon, The moonlight shines down, illuminating all the darkness. A scarlet super runway suddenly appeared and extended indefinitely. Under the far distance, a super run, the darkness cut through the light. A little quiet now. The tornado looked sideways. The moonlight seems to be beside his hand, and he can touch it when he stretches his hand slightly. The wind roared, and it was like clouds and fog at the moment. Countless clouds surrounded the two of them, pulling out a long trace. This scarlet super runway has already cut away countless clouds. The two of them forcibly broke out of a long road. The brightly lit city is now infinitely small. Blinking your eyes is like flying a plane, having driven countless cities. Although it was ups and downs just now, the impact on itself was very small, even infinitely close to nothing. Tornadoes have long been accustomed to flying over a variety of terrains. It's just a piece of cake. However, it was the first time that such an exciting feeling had occurred. This moment. Sit tight, Mu Bai reminded. Okay. Tornado nodded slightly. Next moment. The super track suddenly turned into a ring and circled downwards like a winding road. But before the two of them, a new city has appeared. The address where dinner was located, the super restaurant in City G, was still brightly lit. As if straight into the sky, super building. From top to bottom, it is like a blooming cake, and the overall architectural styles are different. This is one of the 3 most expensive restaurants in all cities. Romantic luxury. The price per night here is not cheap. Moreover, the people who come here are either rich or expensive. Scarlet color. On the circling super track, the supercar drove down wildly, without the excitement of the opening, only as smooth. After 2 minutes, the track stretched to the ground, followed by the black supercar. Drive slowly. The scarlet supercar track, a strange scene, suddenly attracted the attention of countless people. People in this restaurant all signaled their attention. Mu Bai waved his hand. Out of thin air, as if appearing, countless new red petals slowly descended. And then the black super run entered the leveling stage. The speed of the supercar has been reduced. Next moment. The gentle super run descended from the sky and landed slowly. Countless people's comments. The scarlet color slowly spread, stretching from the sky. Huawei Channel black supercar, galloping down. Wow. Land firmly. The supercar double doors opened, and Bai came to the co-pilot position, another standard gentleman's etiquette. Extend your right hand and turn slightly sideways. Full of ceremony. Tornado gave the guy a blank look. Although I don't know where this guy learned this thing, he still has a little expectation in his heart. In more than 20 years, he has never been treated like this. Emotion. This never thought of things, but did not expect to become a reality. Mu Bai's transformation gradually attracted her attention to the 3/9's power, and now the two have established a relationship, but there has been no substantial breakthrough. For countless nights, she tossed and turned. I always look forward to this moment, but I don't know when it will come. That guy Mu Bai got his head. Although he was shy at the moment, he still stretched out his right hand and placed it on Mu Bai's right hand. Get out of the supercar, and the black wind will automatically drive away. Now. Countless eyes came. Tornado was slightly startled. Next moment. A big hand is wrapped around the waist, often a little warmth. Looking back, he met Mu Bai's fiery gaze. Tornado quickly turned his head away. However, there was a smile on the corner of his mouth. The slowly disappearing super runway turned into countless petals and fell down. Tornado stretched out his hand slightly. The petals start, and there is a fragrance beside it. This petal rain is completely prepared by Mu Bai. This moment. Been waiting for countless hours. Even as a great master of the previous world, Bai was extremely excited at this time. This is the first time I've really confessed to a girl. Even if you are very excited, but you have a heart, and running in both directions is the most warm relative. Earn 2 roses to start. Mu Bai moves. Countless scarlet colors spread. The bodies of the two have disappeared in place, and the next moment they appeared before the counter. Wow. A rain of roses suddenly erupted in place, turned into roses, and scattered everywhere. The figures of Mu Bai and Tornado suddenly appeared. The waitress was startled. However, the hotel's lobby manager rushed over. First reached out to reassure the waitress. Everyone witnessed the magic rose rain, a little bit of romantic atmosphere, and gradually struck. The melodious sound of the violin kept ringing in the hall. The violin master in the center of the lobby has a melodious sound, and one-handed violin plays into the soul and into the dream. When the sound of the piano that shocked the soul fell. The piano master in a tuxedo slowly walked up to the front desk, circled the piano, and then sat down. Tidy up the white gloves of your hands. He closed his eyes slightly and dropped his hands. The crisp voice sounded, attracting the attention of countless people. The surrounding symphony orchestra, with the performance of the violin master and the ending of the piano master, the highest level of music, followed by ups and downs. Then, facing Mu Bai, the lobby manager hurriedly bowed. You two are welcome. The eyes hit Mu Bai's face for a moment, then moved to the face of the tornado. If you stare at it for a while, then quickly look sideways. Respect for the guests invisibly enhances self-cultivation. Wei Wei was shocked by Mu Bai's delicacy, and at the next glance, he immediately froze slightly. People in front of you. Tornado. The superhero Tornado ranked number 2 in the S-class. Trembling Tornado. This is a person who constantly refreshes hot topics. Since this time appeared in the hotel. Moreover, the man beside him stretched out his hand to catch the tornado's waist. How can this be? And it seems that the tornado is not disgusting. Combined with the scarlet-colored rose rain just now, including the scarlet-colored color, everything that was constructed shrinks into an inch and appears in everyone's eyes like magic. Magic. Etc. After a moment of shock, he looked into Bai's eyes again, full of shock again. Does the one in the legend really exist? A moment of shock made his pupils shrink. If it is the one in the legend, I am afraid it is really enough to make the hotel in front of me flourish. He nodded slightly to Mu Bai and Dragon Roll, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, which fully reflected his ultimate self-restraint. As the highest palace-level hotel, the corners of Mu Bai's mouth lifted slightly. Go to the hall. Candlelight dinner. Calm tone, graceful presence. Reach out and pull out a card from your pocket and hand it out. A mysterious figure was imprinted on it, surrounded by scarlet, dotted with rays of light and adorned with golden brilliance, like silk threads embellishing the whole body of the card, and handed one side of the magnetic card to the lobby manager in front of him. The lobby manager glanced at him and nodded quickly. Okay. Reach out and take the card. Can't help but take a breath. The 4 characters of the Hero Association are written on the front. Scarlet brilliance surrounded by mysterious background pattern. Only the existence in the mystery can possess it. On the front is written 5, font abbreviation. The high-tech cards gleamed with silver brilliance, the diamond-like gold cards were embellished, and the priceless surface was one of the symbols of that association. It is a reward that can only be issued to the highest level hero. He stretched out his right hand and waved to the right. The 2 of you are seated. Without a trace of it avoided the shock and pointed the way. But there was already a lot of turbulence in my heart. Sure enough, it is really a mysterious existence in the legend. Bai nodded lightly, hugged Dragon Roll gently and walked to the right. The waiter in front of the elevator has automatically opened the elevator. The waiter inside nodded and smiled, walked into the elevator and automatically drove towards the target floor. And Shiro didn't care. After a moment of shock, the lobby manager hurriedly walked towards a place with a hurried look. Even though CIC had a luxurious guest of the same identity reaching out to request service, the lobby manager still looked in a hurry and didn't stop for a moment. Inside the elevator, the numbers are constantly changing, and the elevators are also moving towards higher and higher places in the sky. Super restaurant in G City. The higher the floor, the more luxurious the framed. This also shows a status symbol, and the restaurant where the upper floor is located has a dark pattern, which is completely a couple's restaurant. Deep night. Transparent elevator walls, you can see the bright moonlight outside. A huge full moon hangs high in the sky. The rain of roses came, and a little rose was sprinkled on the ground, but it was also slowly dissipating, but the momentary beauty had stopped. Tornado lay beside the elevator, staring blankly at the bright moon hanging in the sky. Already used to it, tornadoes flying at high altitudes don't pay attention to such heights at all. As the most luxurious super restaurant, with a huge seating area, it is almost one of the most expensive consumption places in the city. In the lobby of a single floor, ordinary consumption is enough to equal the performance income of ordinary workers for a year, and with the replacement of floors. The higher the floor, the higher the consumption level. The choice here is not a whim. Mu Bai has been planning for a long time. But this time, the ID card issued by the association was also used. It is said that the ID card issued by the association will deposit a fixed amount every day, and after becoming an S-class hero, the amount inside is already an astronomical figure. Even if there is no identity card issued by the association, the various cartoon income according to the target is currently enough to continue to splurge in this crazy world. As a playboy, Mu Bai would definitely spend his money without hesitation. However, with the wife Tornado, more than anything. As for those flowery worlds, it's just passing by. Sudden. One-handed fireworks burst into the sky. The colorful shapes exploded, and then good and evil turned into smaller fireworks, dotted all over the sky, competing with the moon for a while. In this silent night, it added a mysterious color. Subsequently, Lala's small fireworks exploded, as if countless flowers bloomed, instantly covering half of the sky. Completely obscured. The corner of the tornado's mouth twitched with a smile, and his eyes were calm, but full of yearning. Once upon a time, no one had ever had such an experience with her, and never even watched the fireworks during the New Year's Eve. The children on the roadside were laughing and playing, and the tornado just passed by peacefully. Even with infinite yearning. In the early years, for human beings, the kind of damn it thing she did to her has long been buried deep in her brain and memory, and she subconsciously guarded against everyone, which has formed a habit. And after becoming a hero, he is invincible, and the power of terror is even more devastating. Everyone feared her, and even turned away from her. There was only Mu Bai, who was not afraid at all, but kept approaching. As the distance between the two of them gets closer, it feels really good to be needed and cared for by others. This moment. What? Slowly exhaling, Tornado couldn't help feeling the knot in his heart, and lowered another point. What a life I have longed for. I just wish time could stop at this moment forever. She sighed softly. The next moment, a big hand covered the waist, a little warmth. Tornado's body froze, but he didn't resist. Only Mu Bai can do this kind of thing, and only Mu Bai can do it. Sure enough, there was a little warmth in the ears. Mu Bai pursed his lips and smiled. No matter when, I will always be by your side. No matter how bad the past is, I will always be by your side in the future. Looking at the bright moonlight and the huge moonlight in front of him, Mu Bai's eyes were a little scarlet. No matter what world you're in. Tornado didn't react to this seemingly trivial remark. However, Mu Bai's expression was extremely serious. Because, no matter which world you are in the future, you will continue to fight for hegemony with Tornado. However, this world is just the beginning. Completely find the trend of the world, open the dimension, and the next world will welcome the new life of Mu Bai. And Mu Bai believes that this moment will not be long. The elevator door opened, and the two finally reached the top. The open-air restaurant is decorated with purple lights, Chinese-style decoration and service staff wearing cheongsam in front of them. The waitress bowed slightly. Welcome you too. This way. Extending his right hand, the pure white jade Bai pointed in the direction. Mu Bai's eyes stayed for a moment. The tornado hugged Mu Bai's arm and declared sovereignty. The waitress smiled bitterly, but she still dutifully turned around and led the way, leading the two to the window. The real thing covered in the dining plate in front of the rose candle holder. There was a little heat on the table. Mu Bai waved his right hand, and countless scarlet magic wrapped the dinner plate in front of him. Under the shocked gaze of the waitress, everything was decorated just right, and countless rose petals fell from the sky. Not for anything else, just love this flavor for the dragon rolls. A powerful magic and ability can be used to adjust the atmosphere. I am afraid that it is impossible for individuals to think of it. Moreover, if the chaos demon god in another world knew that chaos magic was used to embellish, the atmosphere would probably go crazy. Chaos magic powerful enough to modify any reality. Herein Mu Bai brought closer, a tool for mutual relationship. Toki. Gently pulling out the chair, the tornado was also very appropriate and sat on the right side. In front of him are silver tableware and chopsticks made of golden nanmu. The plates have all been opened, and the food is hot, and it looks like it has just come out of the oven. The professional bartender on the side, wearing a waiter costume. Crunch. Take out the wine bottle opener. Gently twist the professional posture. Immediately open the red wine in front of you, and the long special wine dispenser gently draws out the sweat of the red wine in front of you. Pick up the transparent red wine glass and bump it gently. When the crisp sound indicates no low quality, gently pour the red wine juice in his hand into the wine glass, and then stretch out the 2 glasses of red wine to restrain the soldiers on both sides of the table. Mu Bai has also taken his seat. The dragon roll on the right gently picked up the side dishes on the table and put it into the mouth. Exquisite tofu carving, a tender smell, immediately fire on the tip of the tongue, and the fully integrated soup directly transmits the taste to the taste buds. Tornado narrowed his eyes slightly and couldn't help but surprise Mu Bai. It tastes good. You should try it too. Seeing the surprised appearance of the tornado, Mu Bai couldn't help but smile bitterly. Good guy. Spend more than 1 million yuan a night. If the dishes on the table are still 2 or 5, then you can eat nothing here. However, if you pick up a little meat dish, it will melt in your mouth, fat but not greasy. It's a completely Chinese side dish, but I didn't expect it to be so high in the world. Even as a master chef, Mu Bai could not confidently make such a knife. At this time, the melodious violin sounded on the distant windowsill, and the violin master behind the screen slowly pulled a group of beautiful Seine rivers, embellishing the atmosphere to the extreme. The night added a bit of mystery under the dim light of. Young men and women looked at each other, but the tornado began to feast at this time. I kept using chopsticks, forks and knives. Anyway, there was something delicious in front of me, and I wanted to eat almost all of them. Looking at Mu Bai in my stomach, he looked at his wife with a wry smile. No way. Who made this his own wife? And the food here is really good. At the same time, Toki. The elevator door opened, and the lobby manager just now walked to the office in front of him in a panic. Reach out and knock on the door lightly. Come in. Like Oni-san, a steady voice came from inside. The lobby manager hurriedly arranged his bow tie and patted his suit lightly. After everything was very neat, he took a deep breath and walked to the office in front of him. Because the presence in the office in front of you is the real restaurant giant. And this person is one of the people who started the real restaurant, not only has the wealth of the country, but also the identity background format, mysterious and unpredictable. It seems to appear out of thin air, but it is domineering and entrenched here. Entering the simple decoration of the office, lotus leaves are placed around it, a small fish tank is dotted, and a few large whales slowly swing their tails. Green lotus leaves and living plants are placed in the fish tank. The entire conference room is not very big. The table with silver silk fruit is placed with several ornaments. It looks simple and simple. Even at a glance, it is enough to tell that it is not young. Shi Chang's writing brush is placed next to it, and it seems that the leader likes writing very much. Sitting lazily on the chair sideways, she stretched out her pure white jade arm, held the red wine lightly, and took a sip from her red lips. Looking at the silent night in front of me, I seem to be enjoying the infinite beauty. The right leg is over the left leg, and the slender white legs can't help but make people imagine. The lobby manager hurriedly lowered his head, not daring to think for a moment, because the person in front of him could change it at any time with an order, but his job had come through countless hardships. President. The lobby manager spoke softly. Women are lazy, and intellectual voices come. This voice is a little lazy, but it is very capable, and the average man will definitely be obsessed or even ups and downs in such a voice. People can't help but think of bowing down to the pomegranate skirt, just to see the red face and smile. So many great quotes. Even if he did not see the true face of the president, the lobby manager would not dare to make any mistakes. The new hero, come to our restaurant. He bowed slightly and hurriedly told what he had seen. However, before he finished speaking, a jade piece was placed on the armrest of the chair, which would obstruct it. On top of Ubisoft, there was a turquoise bracelet. Emerald. The lobby manager's pupils narrowed. Such top-quality jade is rarely seen in 100 years. If he hadn't been fortunate enough to witness an incomparably huge rough stone, he would not have recognized the material of the jade in front of him. And such an invaluable thing, just so plainly stayed on the arm of the president in front of him. Okay. No need to say more. Lazy voice, with a hint of laughter. Gently shaking the chair under his feet, the president finally revealed his true face. It means that the long hair is placed on the shallow bangs on the right side, and the purple glasses are gently pushed by the hand. Gudong, it was really unbearable, the lobby manager swallowed softly. The president in front of him seems to be exuding the charm of a woman all the time. This kind of charm is indescribable, and even makes her physically and mentally tired, but she can't help but think about it. Ah. The red lips moved slightly, and the president's mockery was so sweet at this moment. Those red lips were not the same red, the shallow red was alluring and charming, and there was no comparison at all. Compared with all the young women on the market, the appearance of the CEO is simply heavenly. Even a glance cannot help but slightly intoxicate it. Like me? And the intellectual beauty of women is in the slightly open neckline. An unknown fragrance spread immediately, the whole space. Stepping on high heels, the president walked slowly. At this time, the look of the lobby manager was completely chaotic, and even two deep vortices appeared in the two pupils, spinning non-stop. Like it? Upon closer inspection, the president has a pair of snake eyes. As if with some kind of charming charm, there is no so-called fragrance in the air. And he gently stretched out a finger and pointed to the chest of the lobby manager in front of him. Addicted to the sound of the sharp blade piercing the skin, and then, a little bit of scarlet blood continued to infiltrate from the white shirt. Huh. The man who was completely drained of his vitality fell to the ground, like a worthless corpse. And this charming woman's tongue escaped and returned to her human form. Disdainfully used my fingers, the blood remaining on the nails. Gently twisting her slender waist and taking a slight step, the corners of her mouth evoked a smile all the time, as if exuding an insurmountable charm at all times. Gently closed the office door, and she had come to the elevator. Several female waiters in Cheongsam came, as if their high heels were stepping on the ground, and the voice was a bit loud. Shush. The slender fingers were lightly placed on the lips. The woman entered the elevator, and the destination was the top floor of the restaurant. She was going to meet in person for a while, young Magic Knight. As well as, that's the second rank of the S-class called Nightmare. Gently pushed the purple eyes, the elevator closed the door, and the corners of the charming mouth turned a little red. That mother red. At the same time, top floor. The female violinist flatly pulled the strings, and the melodious sound of the violin gradually became smaller and then disappeared. At the end of the performance, the female violinist pushed aside the screen, bowed slightly, then twisted her waist and walked to the elevator on the side. The atmosphere is rendered to a certain extent. After the meal, Mu Bai cleaned it up with a napkin. Although the tornado is delicious, it still pays more attention to the image than Mu Bai. Gently wiped the corners of his mouth, took out a small mirror from his carry-on bag, and tidied up his collar. Snapped. Outside the window, fireworks bloomed again. It lights up the whole sky, bringing a splendor and adding a bit of romance at the same time. The purple marquee slowly rotated, adding a blurred color to the gloomy atmosphere in front of him. Tornado pushed away the chair first, and took Mu Bai's hand to the window. Looking at the extremely silent night outside, the brightly lit city, and the huge task hanging in the sky, everything seems to be close at hand. At this time, stepping on the city under his feet seems like a giant existence. Wherever the field of vision goes, there is an unobstructed view. The entire city is within sight. The darkness of the night is illuminated by this little brilliance. The real nightlife has just begun, and countless young men and women walk into the night. Countless consumer places lit up. In this era of entertainment, it seems that only these things can numb the dismal world destroyed by weirdos. Only then can I forget the pain caused by being attacked by monsters. Even, City A, which was destroyed a week ago, is difficult to recover, and under the terrifying power of the Hero Association, City A has become a traffic fortress. And the latest news came that Metal Knight is already designing the new building of the Heroes Association of the Traffic Fortress, although I don't know how the progress is. Why didn't I find out before? It turns out that the night can be so beautiful. The corner of Tornado's mouth twitched into a smile. The window reflected Mu Bai's figure, but what was reflected in the pair of big pupils was the whole brightly lit city in front of him. Another bunch of huge fireworks spread out, occupying all visions like a goddess scattered flowers. In the huge square below, countless men and women prayed to each other, and under the care of the huge fireworks, the figures slowly approached and embraced deeply. With the romantic atmosphere in the night, all the tiredness is swept away. The good smell of love refreshes all perceptions, including the tornado. Looking at those young men and women, kissing together, intoxicated, deep into the night. Tornado licked his lips lightly, and his heart was a little throbbing. At this time a large hand clings to the waist. Mu Bai clearly felt the tornado's body trembled. However, Tornado did not refuse, which gave him more confidence to move forward. Lose tighter. Mu Bai sticks to the tornado's ear. Wife. While speaking, exhale softly. The tornado's ears were soft and immediately turned red. A slight response is enough to pull a person from hell back to heaven. He stretched his arms over his waist and embraced the tornado in his arms. Looking at the deep night in front of him, Bai also felt all the profound charms. Holding the dragon roll deeply in his arms, the two bodies were infinitely close. Mu Bai lowered his head gently and kissed the dragon roll on the face. Snapped. Another bunch of fireworks illuminated the darkness. It also illuminated the two people in front of the windowsill. Tornado no longer hesitated, and the slightly clenched little hand slowly loosened. It seemed that some kind of powerful decision had been made in my heart. Feeling Mu Bai's gaze, he no longer hesitated, turned around, and leaned on. A piece of softness. 4 eyes facing each other. Both saw strong ambitions in each other's eyes. Darkness deepens. The two were hot, and they swallowed their saliva. The sleeping wool of the body has been awakened. The tornadoes that hug each other feel the same way. However, the more this is the case, the clearer the smile on the corner of the mouth. After that, Mu Bai was not rejected, and Mu Bai's actions were more bold and serious. Time moved slowly. After a minute or three, the movement of Mu Bai's hands suddenly stopped. Without hesitation, he looked sideways at the elevator beside him, and the fiery gaze just now turned extremely cold. The elevator numbers are slowly rising. At this time, someone was taking the elevator up. Tornado was slightly startled, and she quickly opened her eyes, because she sensed a dangerous aura from Mu Bai's body in front of her. Husband. Slightly squeeze Mu Bai's hand. Only then did this ray of danger be successfully strangled in the cradle. Mu Bai turned around and looked at the tornado. The danger and coldness just now had completely turned into warmth and tenderness. Fine. Gently kissed Dragon Roll's lips. The warming of the relationship between the two has accelerated to the extreme, and Long Chen has not refused. Everything has come naturally, but at this time someone dared to disturb. No matter if it is Lousy, the King of Heaven or any other character, Mu Bai will change it at the thought of it. However, now, since the wife stopped it, that's fine. Hey. Tornado looked back and smiled. With a light tiptoe, he kissed Mu Bai's cheek lightly. Love that goes both ways is the real purpose, and there will never be fatigue and hypocrisy. The mutual beauty creates a constantly warming atmosphere. Under this night, Mu Bai also turned to look at the gradually ascending elevator. However, he didn't find it. In the eyes of the tornado, a blue brilliance flashed away. Facing Mu Bai's gentle smile is cheap, but facing the person who comes, but there is no good face. At this time, with the movement of the floor numbers on the elevator, the numbers have finally risen to this level. Ding sound. The elevator door opened slowly. The sound of high heels stepping on the ground came, wearing a purple close-fitting cheongsam, outlining a plump figure. The person twisting his waist, walked out of the darkness step by step. The incomparably white jade arm and an emerald bracelet danced under the dim light. With slanted bangs in front of her eyes, she gently stretched out her white fingers and pushed the purple frame. She laughed. Whoops, I didn't expect the second S-rank hero, the trembling tornado. There is also the 5th S-rank hero, Magic Knight, who will come here, and I will be far away. I hope you too, don't be angry. Gentle tone, red lips moved slightly, but exhaled like blue. Don't be angry, be angry. There seems to be some kind of echo in the voice, which keeps echoing around. The girl's elegant face was also completely exposed to the light. The purple eyes outlined a hint of charm, and the bright red on the lips, I couldn't tell what kind of red it was. Another angel's face. However, this real identity is probably the charm angel. Good guy. Mu Bai's eyes are tiny. Why is this guy showing up now? And listening to the tone, it seems that I have broken into other people's territory. That's right. Mu Bai has already recognized the specific identity of the person in front of him, and this guy should still be curled up in the dark depths of several hundred meters at this moment. I didn't expect it to be so blatant, it seems. Hidden plot again. This hand charm ability, immediately full marks. If it is an ordinary person, I am afraid it is really difficult to detect and avoid it. However, the scarlet color in Mu Bai's eyes disappeared in a flash. All the goodness disappeared completely, including the redness on Psyche's lips returned to normal red, and the appearance of the angel also reached the level of mortals. Including plump figure. Whoops, this is really great. Psyche's, before Mu Bai could speak, a tornado's voice came from beside him. Why are you here? Tornado frowned slightly. There is a bit of doubt in the voice. Of course, Miss Tornado. Psyche smiled slightly. I wonder if the two of you are satisfied with the meal. If there is anything inconsiderate, just mention it. This restaurant will definitely focus on revisions. Suddenly, her voice changed. She looked at Mu Bai, took elegant steps, came to Mu Bai and looked around and said, I didn't expect the legendary Magic Knight to be so young, and so handsome. Ha ha ha. Hearty laughter, then looked at the dragon roll. Sister really picked a good man. Eye to eye. Psyche's height of 1.7 meters is really much taller than Tornado. And the charm in his eyes, the smile invisibly strengthens it a bit. However, compared to the tornadoes that have been fighting monsters all year round, it is still a bit worse. Eye to eye. The two sides did not give in to each other, and even began to compete secretly. Very satisfied. Dragon Roll's tone became a little colder. Farewell. The figure drifted up without hesitation, pulling Miu Bai towards the elevator. Compared to the woman in front of her, she was really annoying. If it wasn't for Fubuki's face, I'm afraid the woman in front of her would have been torn to pieces. In the mouth of the once blowing snow, she learned. It turns out that there is another classmate who is like-minded with Fukiyuki, who also has powerful superpowers. He even formed a superpower club with Fubuki. However, the two seem to have parted ways since then because of their differences in concept. Sykes. A very aggressive superhuman. The terrifying superpower was even comparable to Fubuki when he was a student, and even had the ability to surpass Fubuki for a while. With this powerful ability to join the Hero Association, it will be directly successful, and it is very possible to even become an S-class hero. However, because of his special personality, he withdrew from the superpower club he built with Fubuki. Because the mind is so complicated, tornadoes are instinctively annoying. Fortunately, he and Fubuki were getting farther and farther away, and there was no intersection after that, and even disappeared. I didn't expect to appear here, and even became the owner of this restaurant. Come to the elevator. The tornado was covered with a blue light, and the superpower had been activated. Dark green long hair is windless and automatic. Under the superpower, the elevator descends infinitely, and the numbers of the floors are constantly rolling, and it is almost in the form of jumping. This little thing has no effect on Miu Bai. Finally, the number on the elevator dropped directly from 10 to 5. The superpowers exerted disappear, and the elevator falls steadily. Miu Bai didn't expect it either. A luxurious restaurant was randomly selected, and the owner turned out to be Sykes. To know. This guy. The terrifying ambition has directly created the anime, One Punch Man, Season 2 boss level status, an unshakable status, including a high-value appearance and powerful superpowers. Even a little spoiler, an entire eccentric society was formed by Sykes. Incarnate with big eyes and make all kinds of weirdos. The evil woman who played with human life to the extreme. Instinctively, this guy from Miu Bai doesn't like it either, but... Cough cough. As soon as I went out, a breeze came. Black wind. Tornado imitated Miu Bai's appearance and spoke first. I see. In the darkness, the black Lamborghini had turned on its headlights, drove out of the countless parking spaces, and then drove slowly. Hostess. A mechanical electronic sound came out. Yesterday, the doors of the co-pilot in the driver's seat were opened. Tornado took the lead in taking the driver's seat. Wow. Seat belts merge automatically. Miu Bai smiled wryly. I didn't know what the tornado was going to do, but he obediently came to the co-pilot position. The doors close automatically. The tornado slammed the accelerator to the end, and the car was judged on the spot in an instant. The extreme speed roared, and the supercar's headlights illuminated a bright road in the dark. Farther and farther away from this luxurious restaurant. Miu Bai kept propping up against the window, frowning slightly. Because, in the strong perception, a pair of eyes kept moving as the two moved away. On the top floor of this fancy restaurant, Sykes picked up Miu Bai's quilt and touched the edge of the glass with his slightly moving lips. A beautiful leg sat on the window, watching the supercar below get farther and farther, gently shaking the red wine glass in his hand, and then go up against the edge of the cup wall. He slightly raised his white neck and poured red wine into his mouth. Close your eyes. Slowly enjoying this moment, the mama red on the corners of the mouth recovered again, that kind of unknown red. However, the supercar has broken the calm, drove into the darkness, and disappeared. A ray of sunlight shone through the gaps in the curtains. Sun on the face, warm, a little itchy. Miu Bai touched his face and opened his sleepy eyes. The fluffy hair is a little messy, the edges and corners are clear, and the young and handsome face is a little cautious at this time. Because at this moment, there was a small hand around Mo Bai's neck, hugging tightly. The owner of the tender white arms was lying on Miu Bai's side like a koala bear, full of dependence, and a dark green hair covered half of his face. However, I can still clearly see the little face of a girl and an angel. This girl. Miu Bai smiled wryly and couldn't help touching his dark green hair. Gently uncovering the white quilt, Miu Bai sat up. Rubbed his temples slightly to relieve some fatigue. After last night's racing, Tornado brought Bai to a bar. Of course, about the identity of the tornado. None of the people present dared to provoke this eldest sister. The whole bar was as serious as elementary school students meeting their teachers, and even the loud music was much less loud. After 3 rounds of drinking, Dragonroll was slightly drunk. Husband. With a smile on the corner of his mouth, he whispered softly in Miu Bai's ear. Then he fell unconscious on his shoulder in an instant. Mu Bai was also worried that he would make trouble in the bar when he was drunk, and even waved the whole bar to see their grandma. So, pick a nearest hotel. Turns out just putting the tornado on the bed. This girl. As soon as he opened his eyes, he wrapped his arms around Mu Bai's neck, and as soon as he exerted force, Mu Bai fell to the tornado. Looking at the tornado Lu Bai with a smile on the corner of his mouth, he realized that this girl was not drunk at all, but looked at the eyes that seemed to be smiling. Mu Bai understands it. As the two got closer and closer, the atmosphere continued to heat up. At this moment, everything comes naturally, no need to understand. Of course Mu Bai could easily use chaos magic to get rid of the drunkenness, but the clarity of last night cannot be ignored. This subtle movement also caused a ding-ding. The little girl rubbed her eyes and sat up with Mu Bai in her arms. There is a slight discomfort. He frowned slightly, his movements slightly startled. Even with unparalleled superpowers in an ontology, she is just an ordinary human woman. My wife, sorry. Aware that something was wrong with the tornado, Mu Bai quickly sensed it, but he felt a little distressed when he learned the problem. Last night, I was so drunk that I didn't have restraint for a while, and I was full of terrifying strength, if it hadn't stopped hazy. I'm afraid, the tornado don't even think about getting out of bed today. As he spoke, the wooden board quickly stretched out his right hand, waving his big hand, and his eyes flashed scarlet. After changing the uncomfortable state to normal, Tornado eased his brows. Everything has come naturally, and the two have become husband and wife, looking up at Mu Bai's eyes with a hint of tenderness. Last night, Tornado has finally changed from a girl to a woman. The complete transformation is not only the soul, but everything including the body and mind accepts Mu Bai. Husband. Reaching out his right hand to catch Mu Bai, he gently leaned against the latter's arms. Plop plop. The steady heartbeat sounded into the ears. Tornado gently closed his eyes. This sense of steadfastness and tranquility made his heart continue to calm down, and even everything in the past was meaningless at this moment. This sense of solidity beside her is what she wants. The corners of his mouth slowly evoked a smile, and Tornado completely recognized Mu Bai. The two have known each other for a long time, but fate came so suddenly. It seems that holding the person next to you tightly is like having the whole world. Compared to the tornado, Mu Bai is much calmer. Calm. Breathing out slowly, he gently stroked the hair of the girl in his arms. Feeling the weight of his body, Mu Bai also felt at ease. The final result of this strategy game turned out to be that the world lines of the two people completely intersected. At first it seemed to be just an interest, but at this moment, the responsibility has completely changed. Tornado. An existence that makes the whole world and even anyone tremble and fear. At this time, is smiling quietly. Quietly feel this moment, the meaning of life. Tornado has always had the habit of staying in bed, but when he woke up at this time, it was undoubtedly that he woke Tornado. At this time, it's him, King, the legendary King. A slight voice came from outside the window. The scarlet color flashed in Mu Bai's eyes, and all the sounds around him were completely cut off. Husband. The tornado shouted out vaguely. Mu Bai smiled wryly. Okay, it's okay, I'll fix it. He lowered his head and kissed Dragon Roll's forehead lightly. Go on and have a good rest, we'll go home when you wake up. Curled together like kittens, the tornado fell asleep again. Mu Bai got out of bed with his hands and feet, his eyes flashing scarlet. The suits, white bow ties, and neat suits that he often wears on weekdays have appeared on his body, facing the full-length mirror in front of him. And the next moment, the scarlet color package. All silently, Mu Bai has turned into a scarlet light and dissipated in place. And when it reappeared, it was already outside the window. The scarlet-colored package has been restored, and the powerful man who uses magical abilities. The 5th S-rank hero Magic Knight. See you. There were people gathered under the high-rise building. Among the crowd was a handsome man with a big golden back, a blue shirt and a cold face. A lizard monster that spits out a long tongue right in front of him. Puff. 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 The frantically beating heartbeat sounded so loud that it almost spread throughout the audience, and everyone could hear it clearly. It's the Imperial engine, someone suddenly exclaimed. The person next to him immediately reunited. The most powerful existence on the surface, King. The Emperor's engine has been turned on, and you can never run away. What? The lizard monster opposite panicked instantly. King. Beads of sweat dripped down slowly on his forehead. Countless people were packed, and the powerful knight was going to overwhelm him. However, Mubai in the sky frowned slightly. King? The man in the blue shirt with the big golden back in front of him is none other than others. It was not long ago that it was ranked 7th in the S-class hero. Commonly known as the strongest hero on the surface. King. According to the information of joining the Hero Association, where the king was before, all the weirdos have turned into mutilated limbs, and there is no living existence at all. And basically, it's an instant solution to the battle. So this name is well deserved for King. And, including the most difficult hero rankings, the first hero. S rank 2nd place, a shivering tornado. Don't dare to provoke the king easily. This shows how much deterrent King has in the Hero Association. Mubai embraces his arms. These are completely internal information of the Hero Association. However, Mubai knew very well that the man with the big back and the 3 scars on the right eye socket was not the so-called strongest man on the surface. If it is the strongest, it is probably the strongest summoner. And the summoned character is still One Punch Man. The top-level combat power ceiling in the world exists. The bald-headed demon king who made everyone feel terrified. Including all the previous experiences or almost by chance, under the circumstances of encountering Saitama. In fact, I am just an ordinary person with a louder heartbeat. The biggest hobby is otaku. He usually plays video games and buys some anime girl peripherals. He is a bursting otaku. Inexplicably, he was recruited into the Hero Association and faced terrifying and dangerous tasks every day. And the hardest thing is to install B every day. Although this kind of life is very hard, but after buying animation peripherals for him, it has increased a lot of income. King was very happy to accept the job. Oh. Our strongest bald-headed devil has created a veritable wage earner. J. Okay. Saitama's eyes were dull, and he scratched his bald head. Genos, who do you think that is? With a plastic bag in hand, including a bit of fresh vegetables, a few shallots can be seen dangling around the edge of the bag. Wearing new short sleeves, our bald-headed demon king suddenly showed a dazed look. Teacher. Genos immediately became respectful, then looked slightly to the right. His eyes froze. King. Why is he here? The armor of the Meccano cyborg has also been upgraded. In a short period of time, countless levels have evolved one after another. Because at the site of the ruins of City A, many steel fragments left by alien warships were picked up. The metal actually got the space, and the folding technology also handed over these metal fragments to Dr. Kusno for joint research. Under the joint research, Genos' armor has been upgraded again, to the current level of gloss. But, the first time I ran to Saitama, Pitioner announced his current situation. Saitama is obsessed with the super run of his goal. And the more Saitama doesn't care, the more respectful Genos is. Because the last final battle was almost a god-level disaster, but under the combined efforts of the teacher and the senior, since the god-level disaster could be crushed in the cradle. This kind of terrifying strength can almost be called the strongest. Still, hear the flattery. Saitama shook his head slightly, and said with serious eyes. Only that man can be the strongest, because under that scene, I couldn't think of any way to resist, and all I could do was throw the only serious punch. Genos was shocked. Of course he knew that the person Saitama was talking about was Mubai. But didn't expect such a great recognition from the teacher. Then, senior, didn't it really reach that terrifying level? So in the next few days, he came to find Saitama without hesitation, and accepted the training called the strongest training. Today, the food has improved, and the supermarket has a big sale. Although after the last battle, Saitama's level has also been completely raised to the 3rd B level. He even accepted a lot of money from the Hero Association. However, it's still the old rules. Saitama is still very economical. After all, after 3 years of perseverance, his heart is calm now. And other things. Of all the records, Tornado and Mubai dominated, and Saitama happily accepted the result. Because of everything that happens on the alien warship spaceship, the drones on Earth can't monitor it at all, and even the final credit is completely Tornado's. The merits of the Magic Knight are inexhaustible, but all hearsay. No one has ever actually seen one. At this time, boom, a huge steel metal fell from the sky. A golden crown is worn on the head, and there is a diamond armor on the chest, and there is no white snow ferret. A red cloak behind him. Speaking of the steel fist, it looks like 10 sandbags, and the metal arms have the color of strength, including the metal thighs, and they are also majestic and domineering. And at this moment, it just happened to be in front of King's eyes. My name is G4, the mechanic created by the organization. You are the S-class hero king, right? I'm going to destroy you. Mixed with a mechanical voice, he said it slowly. A pair of red electronic eyes on his forehead have scanned the information of the man in front of him, including height, length, and clothing material. He wore a hat to cover his face, but the face analysis, including the contrasting scars, completely confirmed the identity of the man in front of him. The current 8th ranked hero of the S rank, King. As for the steel giant attacked by in front of him, his hand in his pocket was slightly clenched, and King still forced himself to calm down. He bowed his head slightly, and said coldly with a dark face, "You know that I am the 7th S rank of the strongest man on earth, not the 8th king." Sudden. It seems that Hanger too heard the sound, and the metal gear on the chest of the mechanical giant on the opposite side turned slowly. Next moment. Yesterday. The giant sword on his back automatically bounced out, and he stretched out his right hand to pull out the giant's sword. The giant sword glowing with cold light was already in front of King's eyes. I said, "I'm here to kill you." Mechanical metal sound, a little angry. Wow. The little Jian Feng had already fanned his hat, completely revealing the king's calm face. Far away. See this scene. Crunch. Clenching his fist slightly, Saitama was about to rush up to fight. However, Geno's on the side stretched out his hand slightly to block. "Teacher. Let's take a look at King's performance first." "Alright." Stopping the movement, imitating Mu Bai, and rubbing his chin, Saitama nodded slightly. The bare head of the braised egg rubbed his chin with a serious look. It was kind of funny for a while. However, Saitama would also like to see what the king's strength is like. After all, even everyone in the Hero Association can call King the strongest hero on the surface. Is he also invincible and lonely like him? If that's the case, then he has one more friend. After all, the only person in the world who can defeat him seems to be Mu Bai. If there is one more person, everyone will be happy. Opposite. A gap in the Saitama dialogue. King suddenly spoke, and he said coldly, "If I hold back, my strength can only be used in half, and the data you investigate will not be accurate." With cold eyes, he looked up at the majestic and tall machine god G4 in front of him. The golden ornate crown, a pair of electronic eyes, and the body turned out to be incomparably dazzling armor, exuding machinery and dangerous information at any time. After being silent for a while, Machine Spirit G4 said coldly, "I'll only wait 10 minutes. Next moment. Brush, his blade suddenly aimed at the innocent citizens beside him, and the mechanical voice sounded again. "I'll kill 10 people a minute late." "Got it." Instantly pointed at by the sharp blade, the nearest citizen, his brain buzzed, as if he had been shocked by electricity and now it was blank. And the next moment. "What?" The voice of fear instantly resounded in life, and countless people screamed and ran away. This is another freak attack. Although the Heroes Association has not yet notified, everyone on the scene knows that they are in danger. Saitama and Genos huddled in the corner, sticking out their heads and peeking. Laugh. King smiled disdainfully, of course. He shook his head slightly, very calmly, bent down calmly, picked up the hat from the ground, and put it on his head, covering the long golden hair on the back. With his hands in his pockets, he walked calmly to the public toilet in the distance. There was no trace of tension. When the surrounding citizens saw that King was so calm, one of them gathered up the courage and shouted, Don't be afraid, the king will definitely come. Yes, he will definitely defeat the freak." Some citizens nodded immediately. The voice immediately spread throughout the crowd, and many people looked at each other, and each and everyone as supporters of the king would gather here. Even if there are so many people in the crowd, it is the true face of a king, and even if it is possible to get a signature. At this time, everyone has encountered a strange attack, and may even be in danger of life. How could KIBG turn a blind eye? A little girl suddenly broke free, and was embraced by the girl in yellow beside her. She stood up with her hands on her hips. "We are not afraid of you." Small voices spread all over the field. This gave countless people confidence and belief, and the fearful emotions were immediately relieved. And this is precisely because there are heroes, and the heroes are here. In the sky. Looking at the little girl with chubby cheeks with a milky sound in front of her, Bai revealed a knowing smile. I have to say that the little girl is really cute, but the hero in his eyes is already running fast in the corner at this time. It is better not to tell everyone this cruel truth. Wave your hand. Countless scarlet colors envelop the surrounding area. These chaotic magic completely penetrated into the wall. Even if the machine god is really nuclear at this moment, the wall cannot be destroyed. And the purpose of Mu Bai is nothing more than sound insulation. Wife is still resting, and it's better not to anger your wife. Once the tornado gets angry, the whole city will be uprooted. And in his eyes, he also found the braised egghead hiding in the corner of the ghost Chongchong in the legendary blonde boy Geno's. Compared to before, Geno's at this time has been much tougher. And there are new drive parts. Feel it a little. Wow, there's something. Mu Bai couldn't help but sigh. Good guy. A little bit of alien technology debris dropped from the Boros shuttle ship can research such a level of metal machinery. I have to say that Dr. Kusno is really a genius, and I am afraid that there are many metal knights who are also inseparable. The eyes of the target's scarlet-colored target had penetrated Geno's body. The lightning energy flowing in blue, the core energy has been upgraded, and the protection of the core energy has also been completely upgraded to a new level. Not to be instantly killed in battle. And it looks like the inlay is a shuttle ship, the most solid metal technology. As for Saitama, it's still the same, but... Touching his chin slightly, Mu Bai frowned slightly. How come it hasn't changed for a while, and it has become so wretched? At this moment, Saitama's image is completely like a moron hiding in a corner, peeping at a little girl in the family, and the big braised egghead looks particularly obvious. Mu Bai was helpless. With arms in his arms, the figure floats in the air, quietly waiting for the passage of time. Today's sign-in has not been used. A few days ago, the sign-in was all about some special life skills, as well as some piano masters, music masters, and 100 points for appearance. A whole bunch of really weird stuff. It's better to have a battle in front of you, and it will come after you sign in. And Saitama seems to have sneaked towards King, the direction of departure. Leave a Geno's in place and continue to observe. Just wait. Time is like the autumn wind. It never comes when waiting for him, but if you don't pay attention, the time is right now, and it has passed quickly. 10 minutes in the blink of an eye. Okay? Mechanicus G4 made a suspicious sound. Even the most advanced artificial intelligence embedded in the interior cannot think about why the strongest warrior on the surface, King, has not appeared at this time. Constipation? The question immediately appeared in the database. Powerful searchability immediately came out a lot from thousands of degrees. What Putian County S and hemorrhoid surgery, including this disease, may be fatal and the like. G4, very seriously, turned off the search. Wow. With a wave of the big sword, the straightforwardness of artificial intelligence immediately emerged. The only one behind him, there was a sound of machinery, and countless machinery began to scramble, and then opened the small jet port to spray blue flames, and the figure suddenly disappeared in place. The extremely fast speed seems to be like teleportation. Several red electronic eyes frantically scan the crowd in front of them, and constantly analyze everything from the material of the clothes, the age, height, and bone density of the hostages. After confirming that there is no threat, wow! A big hand stretched out in an instant and grabbed it in front of him. Seems like no threat to humans. Yin yin. The girl in the yellow dress was dumbfounded. His expression was shocked, and his face turned pale. The little girl with the milky sound just now was being grasped by the machine god G4 at the moment, and the large piece of steel in her right hand was about to fall. Not good. Geno's face changed drastically. Wow wow. The steel machinery behind him was madly deformed, and countless jet ports were revealed. Dr. Kusnor couldn't get Geno's to reach Mu Bai's transformer's shape-shifting abilities, the state-of-the-art technology for transfiguration. It can only use this original mechanical armor and the fixed mechanical deformation program. So cool at the same time. Dawn, countless blue flames suddenly spewed out. The body surface is connected to the energy conduit of the arm, and the energy is instantly mobilized. Rumbling. The energy reactor in front of the chest burst into a roar, and countless blue lightnings jumped wildly. The energy generated in an instant has reached hundreds of billions of joules. The danger is imminent. Geno's eyes flashed with yellow light. At the moment when countless blue energy spewed, Geno's disappeared in place. It turned into countless afterimages, constantly flickering. In the distance, the big sword in the hands of the god of machines G4 has fallen. The left hand is holding the little girl who is close at hand, and the distance between Geno's is at least 100 meters. Within a second, the big face was about to fall on the girl. What? The girl in yellow shrieked. Countless people widened their eyes. At this moment, time seemed to have stopped. Seeing that the steel sword is about to fall. Twoh! A huge vibrato instantly resounded through the audience, reaching everyone's ears. I see. The place where the steel sword fell, a little bit of scarlet color, formed an indestructible mirror, and the big sword hit it, causing ripples. Huge power, immediately counter shock. The great sword in G4's hand was instantly thrown away. What? The base god made a heavy mechanical vibrato this time, and he looked shocked. Then even the strongest artificial intelligence can't analyze the scarlet-colored mirror in front of you. What is it? In the distance, Genos has arrived. He couldn't just watch a human die at the hands of G4, the god of machines. There was a hint of scarlet in the corner of his eyes, and he immediately bowed slightly, and his feet were hard. Click. The concrete floor shattered instantly, but with this power, Genos also jumped high. Chatter. Post. The mechanical switches on both arms turned on the two steel arm knives with bright covers, and they ejected instantly. Genos turned into a whirlwind, and under the 360-degree cut, it was cut into the hands of the god of machines G4. The upgraded steel is tough and sharp. After a series of sparks, the armor of the Mechanicus G4 has been cut open. The red energy meter indicated that there was a huge crisis at this time. The red exclamation mark jumped the trial frantically, and the mechanical biochemical man who appeared in the corner of his eye had no idea what the purpose was. Machine God G4 hurriedly threw the human in his left hand, and the figure suddenly stepped back. Taste. His feet stomped on the ground frantically, and he appeared 10 meters away. Genos patted the ground without chasing his hands. In the palms of his hands, the jet port opened a blue flame jet. While stabilizing his body, he turned around and hugged the little girl in the sky. The point of losing strength is like falling to the ground in front of you, a rollover followed by a sudden kick of the right foot on the ground, and the figure stabilized. And at this moment, in his database analysis, he also completely discovered what the countless scarlet colors just now were. Quickly looked up. Senior, Genos was slightly taken aback. In the sky, Mu Bai embraced his arms, and countless scarlet colors appeared beside him. Just now, he didn't notice that there was still a senior figure in the sky. And Bai wants to hide his figure, and everyone can't find it at all. Humph. Before Mu Bai could speak, the machine god G4 in the distance snorted coldly. The right thumb opened the large steel piece that was deeply inserted into the ground in the distance, as if being summoned, the magnetic field was linked, and the handle of the great sword had returned to the hand. Brush. Waving the steel sword in place, he asked for a sword flower, his eyes widened, and he turned to Genos in front of him. It was the biochemical robot in front of him that ruined his good deeds. Genos couldn't be bothered to pay attention to this perverted giant robot. He quickly handed the little girl in his hand to the girl in yellow. Facing all the crowds along the line, he immediately shouted. Get out of here. It's a mechanoid, an S-class hero. Great, we are saved. Comrades, don't be afraid of mechano-cyborgs to save us. Countless people cheered. He didn't mean to leave, and this made Genos frown slightly. Broken. Look up at the huge billboards, steel brackets and even countless steel and concrete buildings between the floors in front of you. Once a collapse occurs, the unarmed humans below will be the first to be affected, and may even be life-threatening. After falling objects, these humans will be greatly affected. Those who do not escape in time may even be directly crushed to death. No, it can't go on like this. But looking at these confident humans in front of him, he was helpless. What should he do at this moment? At this time, Mu Bai in the sky suddenly snapped his fingers. The terrifying chaotic magic instantly filled the audience, enveloped everyone's thinking, and even all imaginations were completely suspended at this moment. Under Mu Bai's hands, the chaotic magic invaded reality, forcibly modified everyone's thinking, and brought everyone only one evacuation order. Next moment, all the humans present seemed to have lost their minds, and their expressions generally became cloudy. The eyes lost focus. Like Walking Dead, walking in a certain direction at the same time. Dawn. Standing up slowly, the tall machine god G4 spewed steam behind him, countless mechanical parts moved, and saw countless muzzles opened on his body. The small muzzle of the black hole is in the form of a circular double ring, exuding strange colors from the muzzle. Humph. Machine god G4 snorted coldly. Quack. These countless black lacquered small muzzles burst into purple brilliance in an instant. Wow wow. Including 10 fingers. The cracks were completely cracked to reveal the black muzzle, and the purple brilliance slowly condensed. The scarlet electronic eyes constantly scan the surrounding real estate for fragile buildings, and below are those unarmed humans. At this moment, the faces of the fleeing figures were terrified, as if they had seen something terrifying. Machine God G4. This is the source of fear at this moment. Chua, in an instant, all the purple lasers shot out. Rumbling. The moment it touched the floor, the hard cement walls and steel brackets could not resist the high temperature and high energy emitted by the purple laser. In an instant, the floor has been worn to death. Machine God G4 plus command to move. The whole body is completely transformed into a laser robot. The terrifying high energy and high temperature can melt the temperature of steel, and the surrounding walls cannot resist it at all. Next moment. Wow lala, there seemed to be countless huge rain of stones in the high pit, and stones the size of fists, including stones as tall as one person, fell from the top of everyone's heads. At the speed of human running, sprint up to 100 meters. But here is in a very prosperous neighborhood, the huge high-rise building in front of you has dozens of floors and the acceleration of falling, plus gravity. There is no way to escape from the running human beings below. What? Seeing that the stones fell one by one from the sky, a little hope was just raised, and at this moment they were buried again. One by one even stopped and looked up, towards the falling rocks in the sky. There was a look of despair in his eyes. The hope in my eyes, even flashed away. However, some people gritted their teeth. Don't give up. They sprinted hard and ran into the distance. But at this moment, the boulders falling from the sky can even completely seal the exit of this bustling commercial street, blocking everyone's way of life. What to do? Genos looked up and immediately became extremely anxious. Yi's frantic scanning of the orange-yellow electronic eyes only took a moment in the mechanical loop, and it has completely formed a 3D composition of the scene, including the large and small falling stones in the sky. All threatened areas are fully marked in red. But in the densely complex composition, there are hundreds and thousands of such dangerous points. Crunch. He clenched his fists tightly and gritted his teeth deeply. Genos is very clear that it is impossible to have all the people he wants at this moment, and even these people under the high-rise buildings are very likely to lose their lives. In front of him, the machine god G4 was shooting frantically, which did not give these people a chance to live. It's too late, it's too soon. Just at this juncture. An incomparably huge scarlet shield that seemed to pierce time and space, continuously condensed in the air, and countless scarlet things turned into rays of light and endured thousands of pounds of force. Covered everyone's heads. Rumble one, countless pieces of gravel splattered and fell. Countless dust was raised, obscuring everyone's vision. However, sensing the energy fluctuations, Genos turned his head slightly, and under the countless dust, a solemn figure floated in the air. Countless scarlet colors seem to surround his monarch and surround him. Mu Bai. The hands show a special knotted posture, and the fingertips are a little scarlet, and it is chaotic magic. The powerful chaotic magic instantly enveloped the space, covering the heads of everyone. This long commercial street was completely enveloped, and even the surrounding real estate was surrounded by a scarlet color. The battle scene is detected. Do you sign in? A familiar voice came to my ears. Mu Bai nodded lightly. Sign in. Sign in. Location. Mecha G4 battle site. Checking in. Sign in. Done. Sign in. Reward. Sword of Heaven. Okay. After signing in, Mu Bai frowned slightly. The vision in front of him is the system, and at this moment, there is a sign in item on the sign in reward, which is like a rainbow sword. The simple sword body exudes a faint blue brilliance. The jumping light showed a hint of edge, and that mighty righteousness was the sword spirit of this sword, but it was still hazy at the moment. Heavenly Sword. Among the animations that the world knew, one called Jianwang 3, the protagonist Shen Jianxin used this sword of heaven. One-hearted, with the sword as the heart, in the chaotic and filthy era, he still maintains his integrity and listens to the heroic demeanor. And this sword is where it belongs. A sword breaks the sky. However, I didn't expect that the items signed this time would actually sign this sword out. Russell touched his chin. Mu Bai couldn't help but be slightly taken aback. According to the current terrifying strength, it has been completely consecrated, and it is not an exaggeration to use it for the ceiling of combat power in this world. And this is just the ceiling of combat power within the solar system. In the later plots, there will even be so-called gods, enemies from the four-dimensional world. In the true sense, he has mastered all the knowledge promotion theories, and the powerful energy uses the principle of cosmic matter to attack the real god. Even the immortal body that is currently immortal can be destroyed under the black hole at any time. So the sign-in still needs to continue. Looking at the sword of heavenly Tao in front of him, Mu Bai couldn't help but put away the contempt for this world in his heart. Unimpeded all the way, is to forget the last god. Directly use the two-way foil. Use the current three-dimensional world to use the dimension reduction strike. Directly reduce the dimension. Use the black hole to collapse everything. And use the power of the gods to exert the fear of destroying everything. All living objects, including all solids, will appear in the two-dimensional picture. Even the combat ceiling tornado in this world disappeared directly into a pile of storms, and not even a single wave was stirred up. And the explosion, who had been guarding the land of the devil, also ushered in death at that moment. It seems that the road ahead is not the end. Slowly exhaling, Mu Bai looked up at the sign and item in front of him again. Extract? The system prompt appears again. Extract. Bai nodded lightly. There was a hint of compromise in his eyes, and there was also a hint of awe for the world. All sign-ins are traceable, and all sign-ins are not fruitless. The voice fell, and the data on the extraction panel in front of him jumped. Order. A cold light flashed out in the air. Dalu can see the shape of the sword, but it is covered with countless shimmers. Condensing the shape of the sword, the shimmer slowly dissipates, and the light blooms instantly, forming a wonder in the air. What is that? Just escaped the catastrophe of life and death, someone looked up. It's a magic knight. Great, great, we are saved. Magic knight. It's a magic knight, he's going to use magic again. Countless people cheered and cried with joy. Among the great crowd, there are naturally also supporters of Mu Bai, the so-called fans. And because of Mu Bai's non-stop heroic activities, the popularity is naturally very high. Outside the crowd, "Senior, are you going to shoot?" Genos looked serious and clenched his fists slightly. Seniors and teachers belong to that kind of extremely powerful beings, and generally do not take action easily, but once they do. No matter who the enemy in front of is, I am afraid they can only be wiped out in nothingness. Moreover, in addition to the magic ability that the senior has been using, it seems that the physical combat ability is also very powerful. Looking at this, it is like a sword flying from 9 days away. Puff, puff, Genos reactor. The energy operation couldn't help speeding up a bit. Because the senior is very likely to use moves that have never been seen before. Opposite the crowd. Okay. In the large mechanical body of the machine god G4, there was a questioning mechanical sound. The mechanical body twisted, and instantly turned to look behind him. What? Magic Knight! Unexpected exclamation. Spirit Shinji's countless red electronic eyes began to scan Mu Bai frantically, but no matter what kind of information flow could not penetrate that layer of scarlet magic. Brush. On the sword of Heavenly Tao, the wrapped light spots were completely scattered. The quaint sword blade completely appeared in front of him, floating in front of Mu Bai's eyes as if there is spirituality. Mu Bai approached and looked at the sword of heaven in front of him. The sword body played with the dragon and the phoenix, dotted with rune embellishments, and the awe-inspiring righteousness resounded throughout the whole world, forming a faint connection with this world. Nice one. Mu Bai's eyes lit up and he immediately reached out. One was caught on the hilt of the sword of Heavenly Tao in front of him, and Jugyu came, and a mighty and upright golden energy erupted on the sword of Heavenly Tao. Mu Bai closed his eyes slightly. This terrifying burst of energy only lasted for a moment. However, this is the moment. Mu Bai could clearly feel that his chaotic magic had a qualitative leap and a powerful energy boost. Open one's eyes. Brush. A streak of golden brilliance crossed his eyes, and this splendid righteousness seemed to faintly suppress the destructive aura of chaos magic, and the blue fire source symbol was eager to try. One draws out the sword of heaven. The invisible sword energy gathered on the blade of the sword of Heavenly Tao, flashing with cold light, as if it was extremely sharp, and it could cut the world in the blink of an eye. Om. The sound of countless swordsmen was incessant, as if between heaven and earth there was a man of the way of heaven standing again. Countless scarlet colors enveloped the whole body. Mu Bai floated in the air. As if the gods came into the world, with the blessing of the sword in the right hand, a pair of eyes were cold, and they immediately looked at the machine god G4 in front of them. Tell me, how do you want to die? He opened his mouth slightly, in a calm tone, but said extremely domineering words. Mu Bai looked calm. It's not like a joke at all. Also, Mu Bai has absolutely no interest in joking with such a character. Senior. Geno's excited eyes seem to be bubbling. I don't know what that blade is though. However, the energy fluctuations appear very clearly on the electronic eye, and it is impossible to analyze the specific and huge amount during the analysis. According to the Transformers Genos that he did with a sports car before, the only thing he could think of was the sword in front of him, which was definitely made by the seniors. The excited human beings were also completely silent. Good guy. So this is the legendary terrifying Magic Knight? Facing this guy who can destroy the world, he opened his mouth to say such arrogant and domineering words. How to die? Good guy. Just ask how this guy died. Magic Knight. You are my idol. Immediately, it was surrounded by a group of brainless fans again. However, this also succeeded in angering the opponent G4. With a cold hum, he made a mechanical sound. Even if your data isn't captured, these people have to die. The mechanical theory of artificial intelligence is to deal with dangerous people at the first time, or to launch an attack at the first time, without showing any sympathy at all. Including the crying little girl just now. Even individuals will be soft-hearted, but in the theory of robots. The little girl has become the least threatening existence. There is no stagnation at all. Quack, countless muzzles were opened all over the body, and the pentagonal muzzle exuded purple brilliance, and in the moment of condensing, it was ejected without being sprayed by the purple laser. Including the 10 fingers, the jet black muzzle was completely exposed, and the laser was emitted. Shoot you. The mechanical sound emits unequal anger. All the purple brilliance completely shot towards Bai floating in the sky. Senior, be careful, Genos hurriedly exclaimed. After all, this laser is no trivial matter. The extreme high temperature can easily melt the metal on its surface, and only the value added, the chest of the alien spaceship, the steel can resist. The only way I can think of is specular refraction to counteract these misreflections. However, once it hits the crowd, that absolutely killed and wounded. However, Genos only saw Bai shook his head lightly. Today's physical strength, even a terrorist attack that penetrates the earth, is not enough to cause a little damage to the body. And this little radiation. Countless purple brilliance has struck. How fast the speed of light is, how fast are these misprojections? Holding the sword of heaven in his right hand. Gah, swipe lightly. A cold light appeared. But I saw that the purple laser brilliance that came from the countless attacks was immediately cut off, broke open from it, and attacked the buildings on both sides behind him, passing Bai. However, the scene of the explosion in the imagination did not appear. The invisible scarlet brilliance emerged, swallowing all these purple lasers, and this invisible scarlet energy was fully revealed at this moment, including the scarlet mesh of all surrounding buildings. It surrounds all the surrounding real estate from far to near. Shrouded over everyone's heads, it also surrounded Mechanicus G4. What's this? The machine god G.4 scans frantically with countless electronic eyes, but still can't scan any results. At this moment, he panicked. Because in the known powerful database, there is no way to break these scarlet energies, which also means that he has lost the last chance to escape. High in the sky. Holding the sword of heavenly Tao in his hand, and surrounded by countless scarlet energies, Bai walked step by step, one foot after another, directly stepping on the sky as the ground. A figure floating in the air with an icy face and an expression without hesitation. Coming to the eyes of the machine god G4, a sword crossed. Then, step by step, he reached the ground, passed by the machine god G4, stayed behind the machine god G4, the right hand was slightly stamped, and the sword of heavenly Tao floated up. Post, fully inserted into the air, the quaint scabbard resurfaced. Then the scarlet brilliance was covered again, and the sword of heavenly Tao disappeared in place. Bai also raised his head, looked at the disfigured street that was destroyed in front of him, and sighed. Big project. The luxurious high-rise buildings were shattered into slag everywhere, and countless shards of glass were everywhere, intercepted in the sky by the protective shield made of chaotic magic. Complicated cement stones and debris the size of sandbags are everywhere. The green belts on both sides of the road have been destroyed so badly that the original appearance has long been lost. The crowd no longer panics, but at this time, all eyes were seen. Magic Knight. Did he beat the freak? Should be. Everyone secretly guessed, but did not dare to approach. At this time, Lululu, 3 transparent brilliance appeared on the machine god G4. Then, in Yi Yi's voice, the mechanical gods formed by countless iron and steel mechanical structures slowly shattered, and shattered under these 3 brilliance. The dark muzzles on his body were completely cut open, and the neat cuts could show the sharpness of the sword of heaven's path. Everything is in an instant. Woolen cloth. As if being strangled by a big hand, machine god G4 gave out the last weakness this time. Then, turned into a huge pool of mechanical waste collapsed to the ground. At the moment when it fell to the ground, the mecha was completely shattered, revealing the dark cockpit inside, and the little robot walked out with the follower. Addicted to. Countless white smoke and dust spewed out. Smack bang, countless disordered lines, and sparks flashed. 1 step, 2 steps. The small robot, with its round head and countless laser muzzles, wanted to escape from here at this time. On the opposite side, Mu Bai stood with his head bowed, carefully observing the surrounding terrain. Like the little robot behind him, the machine god G4, holding on to nothing. Do you still want to go? Mu Bai smiled slightly. This sound immediately entered the ears of the little robot. Of course, Mu Bai knows about this little robot, because the real G4 is not the huge shell, but the artificial intelligence body that actually controls this huge robot. A small robot equipped with an artificial body is the body. The armor on the outside looks directly at the mecha created by the Mechanicus organization. But even such a mech is enough to cause devastating damage to the city. The power climbed directly to a ghost-level monster, and these countless radiations made the power to the extreme. If he hadn't met him today, I am afraid that Genos would still be defeated again. At this time, the little robot suddenly stopped. He looked down at his hands and torso in disbelief. The artificial intelligence that has just been derived does not realize too many crises and disasters, and just simply wants to escape, but now he is looking at his body. Feeling the breakage of the wires in the body, the scratches that are not noticeable at all are slowly uncovering its body. Under the sword of heavenly Tao, even if the prey was cut, it did not leave any traces. And now, all scratches are gradually showing. No. The little robot made a sound like a baby crying. Fingers, backs of hands, arms, torso and thighs, head created by steel. Quack. Countless brilliance passed through the body, and the fine cuts revealed scratches. A sword. Mu Bai only used one sword, and this sword has no idea how much damage it did. Finally. Wow lala, no matter how hard the body of the small robot was to support, it turned into countless tiny mechanical parts like building blocks, scattered all over the floor. And Mu Bai never looked at him from beginning to end. Wan. Oye. I knew the Magic Knight would win. And the devil robot, he also helped a lot. No, I'm already a fan. In the future, please support them as well. The joy of the rest of the life made everyone cry with joy. Most people jumped up and down with joy, including the girl in yellow clothes and the little girl with a smile in her arms. However, there are also discordant voices asking questions. Where's King? Although some people realized it, they were quickly drowned in the crowd. Mu Bai walked away steadily. Remember not to run around in the future. Be sure to listen to your sister's words and kiss. Slightly rubbed the little girl's head sideways, messing up the little girl's hair, and knowing that the little girl glanced at her mouth, Mu Bai smiled and got up and left. Facing the countless destroyed high-rise buildings in front of him, he immediately stretched out his right hand. Wow lala, the chaotic magic in the body is like a tide, emerging one after another. And Mu Bai's eyes also appeared a little scarlet color, looking extremely coquettish and strange, as if there was a kind of magic that confuses people. And under this power, Mu Bai stretched out his fingers. Countless scarlet brilliance slowly condensed in the air, turned into light spots and wrapped them towards the surrounding high-rise buildings. Although this is not a small project, under the powerful chaos magic, it is only a drizzle. Senior. Genos slightly noted meshes. The strong predecessors, he has always maintained respect. At this time, he did not expect that the seniors were so close to the people, and he also needed to increase his efforts. Crunch. Clenching his fist slightly, Genos immediately pumped up his energy. Nodding slightly, he must learn like his predecessors. At this moment, the dust has settled, and under the chaotic magic, everything has come to an end. The war correspondents arrived in a hurry, sweating profusely. Huh. He gasped for breath with his hands on his knees, and looked up at the peaceful surroundings, as well as the new high-rise buildings and green belts. Still a little confused for a while. Shouldn't there be a fight at this point? How it looks like false information. He hurriedly grabbed the man beside him. Where is the Magic Knight? Where is the Magic Knight? And where is the weirdo? The man was slightly stunned, and then pointed to a pile of parts in the distance. Mouth. This is a weirdo. As for the Magic Knight, it's gone. Seeing the man being so frank, the war correspondent had a mother who sold out and did not know what to say. And this time, inside the hotel.